number 4 of the Nate Star League has fallen upon us. It is time for another fantastic slate of Call of Duty matches here in the Modern Warfare 2 season. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. As always, we want to welcome you back to another fantastic week of Call of Duty. Cash, how you feeling tonight?
Feeling really good about our matches. Got a couple of good ones, a lot on the line, and I think the biggest point to talk about is today kicks off. We're in the second half of the season, just a few weeks left after this, and we'll get into what that implies for each team.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the make or break starting point of the year. If you falter now, you'll probably fall down the standings quite hard. Might miss your chance at making a substantial run at the playoffs. And if, of course, you go ahead and find your way up into the top, well, it's going to be nice and sweet for you. St. Clair, Ontario Tech, going to be our first matchup here tonight. Old Dominion and then James Madison will take on our second slot. And then later on the night, we'll switch up gears to Valorant yet again here on this Wednesday. Kansas State going up against Stony Brook University. It's going to be a fun one there. But regardless of that fact, let's talk about our first matchup here. St. Clair, Ontario Tech University. Of course, coming into this matchup, undefeated so far are the second place runner-up to the national champions of Northwood last year for the Vanguard season of the Star League. That's, of course, a very strong St. Clair Saints roster that is looking to make not only impressions on the league, but again, try to run for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, plain and simple, you've beat the team you're supposed to beat so far at 2-0, and the talking point for this team after how they finished just last semester is waiting for that postseason. I think the main focus for them is going to be continuing to expand that map pool, grow in the modes they're strong in, but not get caught lacking for the rest of the regular season, and really eyes on what they can do in the postseason. That's not to wipe away the importance of the next few weeks, but they really just need to lock in, again, improve on the things that they are so good at, find any kind of exploits, and look to continue to grow on those.
Absolutely. On the other side of the coin, though, Ontario Tech, not necessarily a mid-pack team. It's more of a team that has a lot to prove still this season. Unfortunately, haven't been able to pull out a search and destroy within any of the series that they've played so far. But the other modes have looked really good. Hardpoint, specifically Control as well. The respawns for them have looked high-flying, high-octane paced, which is exactly what you want in a game like Modern Warfare 2. The problem with a lot of teams is they get into kind of a passive trap, which then forces their playstyle to go kind of awry, and it feels a bit different. But with the crack movement that you can still have in this game, the availability to get around the map, you need fast, high-flying octane plays, and that's what this team can give you night in and night out. It's just little things that they need to clean up in a very important search and destroy mode that they can really start pulling out some of these series.
And they can really show leaps and bounds of improvement. I mean, looking at our map set ahead of us, Embassy Hardpoint, you were talking about cracked gameplay, high octane, flying around the map. This is about as good as it gets, Embassy Hardpoint, to kick things off. A Fortress S&D LSC low control will be guaranteed for us if we need it. Hydro Hardpoint, and then Embassy Search and Destroy to close things out. But when you talk about the leaps and bounds of improvement they need to make in Search and Destroy, well, St. Clair happens to be their specialty, and if there's any better way to show that you've been in the lab getting reps in, it's going to show against a team like this tonight, whether it be in a map 2 or potential map 5 setting. You were saying the respawns look strong. They've, the only hardpoint loss they have was by 40 points, so that's a break. They've been looking very collective as a team. We'll get to see, with it being our first night getting them on broadcast, we'll get to kind of see what the identity of this team is, right? Where their weak points lie across the modes. And I'm excited. Again, I'm circling that map 2 map 2 Search and Destroy, because for St. Clair, that's their best mode. For the side of Ontario Tech, that's their worst mode, and we'll see it all come to a head.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see St. Clair come into their own as well again this year. There were some questions, with a couple players not returning to this roster, how they were going to fare in terms of their strength and ability to once again retake the majority of the league and find themselves back in a setting where they might be competing for a national championship. And the one thing that they've been able to do thus far in the season, they haven't dropped a map. Every series that they've played, 3-0 sweep against their opponents. They have a nice 2-0 start. And of course, again, talking about this being that halfway point in the season, staying at the top of your division is the most important thing now when it comes to seeding for the playoffs and being able to be in the most advantageous position at the end of the year. We talked about previous weeks, even week 2 when we just first started, it was like, it's not too early to start talking about a playoff push. You only have a select amount of games that you have to win throughout a season to be able to put yourselves in a good position at the end of the year. And of course, St. Clair has already made the best of that, but this is a really tough matchup for this Ontario Tech roster, simply due to the fact that you're playing St. Clair, but also that you're already in a tough position at 1-1. This loss knocks you all the way down a peg. You go below 500 at the halfway point of the season. it's going to be almost feeling like a must win here without really wanting to peg it as a must win.
Yeah, and they're going to have some tough matchups still down the slate, even for St. Clair. You know, you say tough matches, thinking they're the favorite in their division, but for Wichita State, they're the only team undefeated left in this pool, along with St. Clair, which St. Clair's, that's going to be their last game of the regular season. So we'll see if Wichita State can maintain that kind of trajectory in an undefeated fashion, but that'll all come to a head in a few weeks. And the same thing going to be said for Ontario Tech here. Starting with St. Clair tonight, you've got some of your toughest matches ahead of you. This one going to be a great one to show, okay, have you been improving on the things where you've been faltering in weeks past? What's your pivot point going to be going into the back half of this regular season? Is it going to be upward trajectory for them? Because as you said, if you start a downward trend now, it's one that could be very hard to pull yourself out of come postseason season, come even, getting the playoffs. So very important for them here to make that upward trend and show that, again, they're a team that's willing to put in the work, willing to do what they have to set themselves up best for what is going to be a postseason run.
It's kind of like that death spiral snowball effect where you just start tumbling and tumbling further and further down, and you're just trying to grasp at straws, trying to get back to where you were at one point in the season or where you feel like you should have been. But as much as I want to talk about like the faltering of this Ontario Tech roster in the search and destroy, I think better matched up in this series is going to be how you stack up in the respawns, your best modes against one of the best teams inside of the Star League this year and last year.
Yeah.
A team with tons of composure, tons of chemistry, the ability to be a well-oiled machine around the map at any given time. Game plan, as we've talked about so many times, does not change for the St. Clair roster. It's gonna be kind of sticking it to them in that embassy hardpoint and saying, okay, well, all right, yeah, it's statistically your best mode, but it's our best mode too. How are we going to be able to face off against a top team? If you can go ahead, maybe even steal a hard point here, or at least play it close, that's going to give us a lot that we need to see and understand from this team. But then even being able to go into a search and destroy after that fact and say, okay, now we've got, a decently close series. We've worked on a lot of things as a team. You've had 3-4 weeks to be able to kind of resurrect your season when it comes to the search and destroy specifically. How are you going to be able to fare against a top search and destroy team in that mode as well? So this is a big test, yes, for Ontario Tech, but sticking it to them in respawns, I think, is going to be more of a test of where you kind of stack up against, a fringe top 2 team.
Definitely. It's one that feels like all 3 of these first 3 maps are important, whether that somehow puts you in conversation for a 3-0 favoring Ontario Tech, or it's one where you're kicking off a reverse sweep on the control. You're undefeated in the control. You're only undefeated mode if you're Ontario Tech. So again, there is no map where I'm looking at where it's like, okay, if they win this, they're gonna go. All 3 of them are ones where need to see improvements, need to see, if you find yourself down 0-2, you're going to rely on remaining undefeated in the control to kick off a reverse sweep. It's just one where no map mode combo looks super favorable against the squad like St. Clair, but it'll show, like you said, you've had weeks and weeks to improve or I guess not weeks and weeks, but week over, you've had time to improve your search and destroy. Again, I'm excited to get to map 2 because we'll get eyes on what exactly is going wrong for them. Is it an execution and play call? Is it lack of trades through the mid round? So many things we'll get a look at, but anything you can steal off is going to feel good for them. It's just going to see how they come out, what their pacing is going to look like on a high octane, fast paced map 1 Embassy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of talking about this embassy quickly. Again, we do have a lobby getting ready in the background, so don't worry all too much about that. I know you don't want to hear us talking. You want to see the gameplay. We promise it's coming. I promise it's coming. But before we go ahead and actually get into the gameplay, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, we'll talk more about this first map on the embassy and really dive into this best of 5 series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here for the next Star League in just a second. We told you to be back in just a moment. Embassy Hardpoint, map number 1, best of 5 series. The runner-ups from last year, St. Clair, looking for themselves a very sweet start to what has already been an enjoyable beginning of an A-Star League season. Cash just talking overall, for St. Clair, what are the keys to success, the keys to victory here, not only to take in map number 1, but this series?
Yeah, it's going to be built upon their strong points and continue to punish across all 3 modes, right? Unless you're winning 250-0, 6-0, and across respective modes, you're not playing flawless to an extent. Now, you can say, okay, teams are going to get points on the board either way, but it's going to be really picking apart their gameplay, seeing where they have any possible weak points and trying to build upon that. That's the caliber that they're playing at, so that's the key to success for them early on. That's something that we can see here on an Embassy with map control, with good possession of time, something that they could definitely build on.
St. Clair going to be in the blue for this game. Ontario Tech in the green. That's just going to be for those arrows and the kill feed itself. Don't worry. The actual names are at the top of the screen are correct for you. Relays up top. Brandon inside of the hill. St. Clair starting to go ahead and mount themselves some time here early on inside of P1. But these last 10 seconds of scrap will go the way of the blue here for the moment. And as we see that P2 rotation to the opposite side of the map, it's Ontario Tech we've got out on the rotation.
See if some gunfights start to go their way as this hill looks to pop. Tyler Fury carving ahead, trying to slow down the reinforcements from getting in. A couple will get cut down as St. Clair put their emphasis on rotating through the back for spawns. No one really with eyes on it for now. You're going to look to Schmutz to be that player to maybe pick things up in a moment, but it's all 3 spawning through the back, pushing through as a squad, and now trying to find these kills.
Okay, well, I guess they just kind of lost each other in the heat of the moment there, diving past each other. But it will allow Bendy to get himself into a nice position here. Heglitch on the truck. Tyler Fury will find one there on to Bendy. This will allow Brandon to start getting his way up the map. But a beautiful 4 down here for Ontario Tech has gone and shown some good strengths early on here in the game. They were the first team out on the rotation. They were able to hold it down this time. And that's exactly what they need to do if they want to take a game or even a hard point off of one of the best teams inside of the Star League.
They've had players really trust across that 50-yard line. I mean, they had someone like Chef, someone like Schmutz, playing in and around Laundry just to stop a push coming through Xbox for free to P2. So it just alleviated pressure from their teammates that are holding time. Now they put themselves in a great position to try to get onto P3 early. Chef flying and frying at these players, already with many engagements on the map and with no hesitation. Get into P3 early. His teammates trying to look over him to offer support, but it's going to be St. Clair quickly on a break once again. We'll see what timing they get.
Chef is going to win another gunfight in towards that hill. 2 in a row for him, but you look to Tyler at the top of the leaderboard there on the left side of your screen. 5 straight. One more, he'll get some streaks, and that's going to be the one that gets him the cruise missile. So now, utility in the back pocket for Ontario Tech. Another break trying to come through here from the side of St. Clair, and as Priestley hops in, it's a costly team kill there from Brandon that's going to knock them out of the hill. Fortunately enough, though, for the last 30 seconds of time, it is St. Clair to get here. This is going to be a big chunk of time if they can hold it down to be able to get themselves within a manageable distance to the side of Ontario Tech.
St. Clair putting emphasis through the bottom side of the map. No, they're going to have the last 10 clean, but really it's going to be these next handful of kills that'll kind of dictate what the first portion of time looks like. For now, Ontario Tech looking clean in the kill feed, looking like they have an idea of where these pushes at least want to come from. You're going to get one and get out if you're Brandon. A smart play to wait for teammates as this hill pops. It's going to be Ontario Tech in control, but quickly on the hunt, going to be St. Clair.
Setting up their pinch, and they're making their move. In towards the hill they come. Chef, first kill, tries to snap to the second. 2-2 split back and forth. Still 2 bodies here for Ontario Tech, who are trying to maintain themselves at least a little bit of positioning here towards the bottom of the hill. Brandon, shots not going to be there. Tyler going to be able to entry once again. 10-6 has led the way for Ontario Tech here thus far inside of map number 1, but St. Clair continue to grab the time.
Great job at trading in the hill, having a body, having close spawns with an ability to just play things even. You see there again a pinstripe kill feed, yet there's only 1 left for St. Clair. A great hill for them to bounce back in, and a much needed one. It felt like Ontario Tech was really starting to find footing, but an early break there puts them with a marginal lead going into P5, where once again Ontario Tech have rotation, but if you're quick on the pressure if you are the Saints.
Yeah, Shadow's just having to jump back and forth, bounce between 2 different players. There's a beautiful bait and switch that allows St. Clair to have bodies down towards that south portion of the minimap, and this will allow Priestley to be that first point of contact and make his way in towards this hard point. Back in from behind, Schmutz is going to be there, cut down. 1-11 here inside of map number 1. You got to think, tippable from Ontario Tech to be able to have such an early lead on St. Clair, but with Schmutz just not having the performance that he wants here inside of the first map.
typical effort, but you know, for the side of Sinclair, they're only getting warmer and warmer as the game goes on. The kill feed starting to show that as well. Chef with a big 2-piece, but quickly responded with out of relief with another 2-piece. They're holding the time, 26 seconds left. They already have a 20-point lead. Like I said, this is one where if you let the Saints get warm, they can turn things up to 10.
Yeah, that ball starts rolling. They look good. It quickly becomes a griff diff, and it's starting to get here quick. Ontario Tech, they've been at about 80 points here for the last 2-3 hard points. Haven't been able to get much for them, and as Brandon drop shots through the middle of the map, that's going to cut 2 off the rotation. And now throughout the middle of the map, all you need to do for St. Clair is just win a few more crucial gunfights. Make sure you get yourselves those high top angle glitches to where you have the height advantage with your ARs, and boom bada bing, you're going to be inside of that hill soaking up the time.
This is where, for Ontario Tech, they found a substantial amount of time, was P1 and P2 mainly. And now for St. Clair, you know they're going to correct those mistakes, not give up that map positioning that they did the last go-around, and we're already seeing that change here. P1, you want to focus on P2 spawns, but quite a lot of time up for grabs that St. Clair's just soaking for free with minimal congestion. Now you know for Ontario Tech, they've got to go towards it. They don't want to be sitting at 160 to 80, a doubled-up score line here, but they also don't want to overextend for spawns. Decision time if you are the players for Ontario Tech. And St. Clair, well, they're soaking it up, now pushing to the bottom side of the map.
And they're making it pay too, because as these ARs get set up in a good position here, Brandon now gets himself a streak. Everybody concerning themselves as well. Relays is on 8 in a row. Finally cut down is Brandon in the back lines. So at least for the moment, Ontario Tech is going to be here first. You can see the pinch once again starting to be made here from St. Clair. Everybody's starting to take position. They've got 3/4 of the map taken up for themselves right now, and all it's going to take is 2 more kills on this point to be able to walk away with the hill. There's the 1 and make it a second. So all the kills that needed to come through do. St. Clair inside of the point. 45 seconds left of time here to get for themselves.
And you've got player 6 and relays playing up and around A, S, and D. That's going to let spawn stay close. Keep Ontario Tech spawning tennis court, and with that clean wave of kills, you still have them penned in the top left corner of the map. They're funneling through the lane you want, and you can simply hold a pre-aim and chop these players down. Now eclipsing 180, could be over 200 if this goes uncontested, and simply put, it's been a near 150 point to 10 point run the back half of these hills and the start of this next rotation.
I mean, if you're Ontario Tech, you've had one good hold on a rotation that you made, and that was from P1 to P2 on the first set of rotations. This is going to be a must hold downhill at this juncture because you're down by over 100 points now as they all start to come across this catwalk through the top side. St. Clair's going to win the opening engagement. Priestley onto Shadow. Chef with a nice trade onto Priestley, but Brandon's there for some help. And now up the staircase, you have 2 players trying to fly in. Tyler escapes with only 12 HP, isn't able to get back onto the point, and this is going to allow St. Clair to once again hold residence on a hill that they didn't rotate to, but they break instantaneously.
St. Clair love to push to one lane as a team where maybe for Ontario Tech they've been caught off guard because they're expecting maybe a couple fronted attacks. St. Clair doing such a good job possessing the map and funneling through when they need to, waiting for teammates too. Brandon could get aggressive here, could try to go up ladder, but is going to wait for teammates, going to get the call, and now going to get the break with just one more kill. Relays was able to find P4. You said P3 is a must hill for Ontario Tech. This one feeling like it's been put away. St. Clair now just going to need 20 or so seconds at the conclusion of it.
Scrap time on scrap time. Will they be able to break this time? The answer is no. Chef is there for a double. Will force St. Clair back to the opposite side of the map. Slow hit going to start making its way through, but the gunfights have to be won if you are the Saints, if you want to be able to break into this hill. Bendy now with the rest of the team. Nade's going to be there. Trophy system out. Everybody, though, from Ontario Tech is inside of the hill. However, it's 2 kills that go down. Team kill, trades, all 4 dead, and a phenomenal break here from St. Clair. Could have just won them the game.
Clinical. One thing this team excels at so well, and there you saw it on full display. Ontario Tech on the outside looking in, having to find a way to break back in, just 20 seconds needed. They can win it here. They're going to have to contest, which means, well, they're probably going to have to give up P5 rotation, even if they can get in for long enough. St. Clair simply put this one away.
Nice little trade back. You go 2 for 2 at the hill, but it allows you to retain the scrap time if you are Ontario Tech. St. Clair out across the map on rotation. This time they're going to win the gunfights. They're going to also push for the scrap time here. It's just a double-edged sword because everybody at the next hill is dead. However, a very, very aggressive and close spawn might just upset this for a moment. It's another team kill that comes through. They need to minimize those going forward. However, at this point, it really doesn't matter all that much. Shadow tries to get it in and will. 247, 136. The final break starting to be on the march.
Now just a few seconds needed. You just have to dip a toe in. Ontario Tech have to hold on to this and then some. Not quite enough left in the tank to rally back, but for now they've got a solid P5 setup. You know, when St. Clair says go and they want to break, they can always find a way in, and here it goes.
Oh, Relays gets a trade. He's there for 2. Still 1 player left inside of the hill, make it a double. They'll shut him down immediately. And a great job here of being able to win the gunfights, win the engagements. But with that costly kill, once again, it is still Ontario Tech holding this down. I mean, they're trying, they're fighting, they're clawing their way back through. But with only 3 seconds to the side of St. Clair, needed to win this game. Even just a quick contestation here in the middle of the map should get it done.
And you have to think, for the side of the Ridgebacks, had this come any sooner, this game could have played any amount closer. I mean, it's been an impressive rally at that rate. 100 points. They were just sitting at 80, and we were talking about St. Clair being at, you know, what is 180, 190. So, like you said, an impressive comeback. St. Clair, for some reason, just not dipping the toe in. Okay, what? Oh.
Out yet again. Relays up top. Tyler can be down on the hill as well. That surely should do it. All you need to do is get in the hill. Get in. Okay, thank you. Okay, finally, St. Clair will go ahead, end out the map. 250 to 184 is going to be your final scoreline for map number 1. Multiple players over 25 kills, multiples in the 30s for St. Clair. From start to finish, it was an open and shut book. I don't really think anybody doubted the St. Clair Saints' ability, and once again, we see the Griff Diff show off in map 1.
Definitely so, but they have some things to circle back, and as we said, it's their key to success. Build on their strong points. Sure, when things start clicking, it was a very dominant run they went on, but you definitely have some pain points in that embassy where perhaps they're expanding the map pool as well. That's something to take into consideration for them going into the back half of this regular season. If it's an expansion of map pool, a great win for them, but absolutely things they can go back and look at and say, okay, here's where we could have made a break happen sooner. Here's where we could have maybe influenced spawns a bit more to give us an easier rotation. Either way, they get the map 1 victory. And for Ontario Tech, yeah, it's a tough hard point loss that you take. You mounted a comeback where you could, again, as I said earlier, had it been any amount sooner, could have influenced the game in a much different capacity. But we'll shift gears towards the map 2 search and destroy on Fortress, where I said at the top of the show, job doesn't get easier for Ontario Tech. I'd love to think it does, but being 0-3 in S&D, this is a glaring pain point for this team.
Yeah, I really just hope that like that hold at the end of the game in the kitchen there doesn't come back to bite Ontario Tech in the butt. And the reason I say that is a lot of times at the end of a game, if a team like St. Clair is up by so much and they only need just a few seconds here and there, they'll just start throwing bodies recklessly at the hill, and that'll lead to a lot of one-on-one engagements or one-on-two engagements for the team that's sitting in and around the hill. And most of the time you're going to be able to win those. Ontario Tech in that situation does. And you know, they start to mount that small but rather significant comeback towards the end of that hard point. But going into an S&D when everybody has to be on the same page and St. Clair is going to be throwing those calculated team hits at you every single time, we cannot afford to see the same thing that we saw within the majority of that hard point, which was just, if we rotated, we lost it immediately, or when we tried to break, we were just losing bodies off the rip. And again, I don't want to phrase it in this way, but I'm going to. It kind of felt like a 3v4 most of the time there for Ontario Tech. Schmutz just needed to have a bigger role in the map 1 hard point, and he just didn't. But that's easily correctable, and going into a map 2, it could just simply be the difference of a little bit of nerves or just maybe getting the gun warm.
That's the exact point I was going to bring up, and yeah, it is one that we'll have an eye on as we go into map 2 and can talk more about, but it's definitely one for Ontario Tech that they need to focus and kind of hit sooner than later.
Fortress Search and Destroy coming up. We're going to send things to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the rest of this best of 5 series and a little bit more on each of the 2 teams. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a bit. map number 2, Fortress Search and Destroy. St. Clair with a 1-0 lead up in the series, dominating hardpoint in our first map on Embassy. Ontario Tech, by a late comeback inside of the game, weren't able to rout up their opponents, so they now face a challenge of going into a game mode where they have yet to win this season against a team that, statistically speaking, their best game mode is Search and Destroy. What happens when you put a rat in a corner with a trap set in front of it? Well, we're about to find out.
This one's going to be interesting. You talked about it at the top of the show, or excuse me, going into the break with, it's got to be team coordinated, it's got to be teamwork out of Ontario Tech to try to best this squad, and hey, you trade things even off the break. Now it's a 2v2. Bomb over at B, which is something I was going to bring up. Something I think Claire read my mind. It's so seldomly do you see offsite pushes where you already saw Chef wrapping back through their spawn, not even thinking B was a possibility, and here bombs down. So the retake going to be a challenge here, a lot to clear out. Gonna work through top maps, but a point we'll hit in a minute is we'll see if Chef is able to clutch up this 1v1.
Chef will just play this quiet. 25 seconds left. Relays is just in such a good spot for a post plant setup. I believe he just spotted him out. Gunfight not going to be won. Chef through the trees is going to be able to give Ontario Tech the first round. And oh boy, I mean, getting over towards B is so difficult, and you'd think retaking it is going to be that much harder, but no. Chef wins it.
And to get to that point, it's still a good push, though you lost the round out of St. Clair, because one, Fortress, let alone any other search and destroy map that we have, B is perhaps the most inaccessible site at times off of break, but because they put so much emphasis on mid-map, trade things out evenly, and kind of go ghost on the map from there, it's going to force Ontario Tech to pay respect to the B side off of spawn, just knowing that it's a possibility that is in St. Clair's playbook. So interesting to see now what Ontario Tech will opt to do off of their break, but again, something to keep in the back of your mind. A great clutch by Chef with the Vaznov there to get a good round win on the board.
Nice little Semtex over the top, gonna weaken one up. But it's everybody making their way forward. The march is on. Bendy with the first blood. Priestley's gonna get a trade out there, but it's a 2-2 split. Back even at 2 lives apiece.
I'm gonna get scooped up, but both players for St. Clair wrapping back towards mid, making sure, hey, they're not gonna take a page out of our book. We're going to keep them funneled in here and make A their only option. Shadow going to try to flip the net, but going to get front. Oh my gosh, not even a headshot. That was like 3 bullets.
Tasty little gunfight, scrumptious indeed. And now they're going to start making their way over towards this B site. Relays once again here by himself, not going to be able to win the one-on-one gunfight. Would have had a second isolated gunfight as well. A bit of an aggressive challenge there, but one that I like from Ontario. You can see that everybody has a renewed sense of confidence here early on in the search and destroy. Again, you know, trying to expand your map pool maybe. But St. Clair not looking as good as we might have predicted here in the opening 2 rounds of the search and destroy. You know, on both sides of the coin, Ontario Tech just opened up with the gunfights, and that's all it takes, just being able to win your ones and then find the trades.
Definitely a good sign for the Dogs. And Schmutz out to 3-1. You called that he needed an improvement, and we're seeing that here. So definitely voting well for them. Maybe 2 of the most unorthodox of the Fortress search and destroy rounds that we've seen thus far. This looking a bit more run-of-the-mill now. First couple kills going to go anywhere from St. Clair, and this should be bomb going down in the moment now in a 4v2.
As that bomb goes down, Tyler's starting to make his way up in towards the bottom of the building. As you're just trying to find any information on where these players could be here on the defensive side. You're also having to play an offensive push to get back over towards the site, get the defuse, and find the kills as well. Bendy's going to be able to find Tyler down below. This leaves Shadow in a 1 versus 4. And yeah, get out of town, partner. You are not going to have a chance in that. Just simply not enough time. The bodies were scattered everywhere. St. Clair makes the necessary adjustments. They play aggressively over towards that A site, and they're able to get that bomb down relatively quickly.
And they're still rallying back from a deficit. We'll see how at least winning those 2 opening rounds for Ontario Tech goes to fair for them. In the later portions of the search and destroy, it feels similar to their opening of the hard point where, hey, you got out to a decent lead. You looked good off the break. Like you said, as far as winning ones goes, now can you keep that up for the long game? As St. Clair find a good aggressive round win on the board, and it's aggressive once again up and through A. Bomb hesitant off spawn on where it's going to go.
Oh, but look at Tyler. Tyler's trying to make a flank route here through the middle of the building. Doesn't want to give himself away just yet. St. Clair is so far pushed out onto this A zone here on defense that it's going to make getting onto A that much harder for Ontario Tech, because you really don't have an opportunity to get back over towards B. Gunfight in the back, not going to go either way, but Chef is going to be forced to back off to help his teammate through the back lines. For now, St. Clair just going to sit pretty, wait in a patient way here on defense, and find themselves a first blood. They are rewarded early on here in this 4th round.
A mid-round grenade. Now 4v3, and again, bomb sitting art, and you really don't have any information on where these players could be. You haven't taken any kind of advantageous position. You haven't cleared out maybe even your P1 side to see who's watching the cuts. You know, you keep getting chopped down, keep getting pushed further and further into your spawn, and you're simply battling with your backs against the wall.
Love that play from Priestley to back off, but you go to the window. You're looking for maybe the height advantage here, just to peek where these players are going to go. Surely you hear the information, though. Footsteps making their way back over towards this B bomb. A out of the equation now. Not enough time to get back on over, but Brandon is going to be there. AR in hand, trying to find the last player alive. Schmutz needs to go big here, but it's just too little too late in the round. You get basically suffocated around that P1 hill, and all of a sudden, what was a 2-0 lead from Ontario Tech turned into St. Clair being able to bounce back with multiple first bloods and consistent rounds.
And more so to the fault of Ontario Tech, I'm not sure what the play call was on that opening. They didn't get aggressive up towards A to try and get a first blood. They really just sat back and spawned and let St. Clair take the pacing to them. Maybe some jitters, maybe a little indecision on the call. Either way, they're punished for it. Like you said, St. Clair wiping away what was a 2-round lead. Now things sitting even. Now players, again, starting to get warmed up. Bendy at 4-3, Priestley at 5-2, winning in the first bloods. Something that'll bode well if you're a Saints fan, and for Ontario Tech, you're hoping they can get something going here to rally a response.
Still on the staircase, needs to back off. Be careful because Chef is up close, but you are going to be able to knock him down. So good trade. Gives yourself a life away from the point. 49 HP, that stun check is going to at least dampen that health regeneration you had going for yourself. Map spread right now from St. Clair is good. A lot of isolated 1v1s could still happen around the map, but I look to Relays right now, who's making a flank all the way through the back line. Shadow is aware of it, has been checking his back, but is the timing going to be good? Off-screen engagement could be happening. Might open the round up for St. Clair.
Ran out of Deddy, but it's going to peek on this corner, and there is the timing. There's going to be the call for Relays. Oh, and the beautiful snap to the player open. Played that perfectly. That's going to be the call. B is open. Come and get this bomb down. Great, great work to trust your island player to make a play. And now Tyler Fury left in a 1v3. And I don't know that he's going to have quite as good of odds as his teammate Chef did.
Yeah, you're gonna win a couple more gunfights with a Vaznev as well. And you should be heard out in middle map at the moment. Brandon going to give the information to the team that, hey, Tyler's coming up the staircase. Priestley on the back line going to be able to win the one-on-one gunfight. And still, now in the 5th round, that's 5 deaths for the man Tyler without any kills. We are on Donut Watch.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but absolutely we are. And yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. If things turn around now as we pivot to the back half of the search and destroy, St. Clair, 3 straight rounds for them to take. Priestley on 4, Relays on 3 of his own. I mean, if you're Tyler, you want a freebie. Whatever that looks like, you want a freebie.
Here we go. Aggressive, both sides trying to get pushed up the map. This time, though, St. Clair don't opt to go out onto the A point. Let the opposition come to them. Bendy does have a sniper out this time. But Tyler pre-aiming the double doors here out towards the middle of the map. Bendy looking for any sort of information, any little pixel peek that he can get on the defender, excuse me, the offensive team. That might just help them afford him a first pick.
Priestley's already in your top art, clearing it out. Now working towards double steps, just playing it slow, doing what you can. Maybe here's someone in shadow shifting out here. Will find the gunfight. And again, you've already been infiltrated. You have to figure out where these gunfights are. Mitigate the threat instantly. Chef is able to, but where he falls, Brandon is there on the pickup. Now a 3v2. Now you can shift players and woo! Another do-si-do lost in the sauce. Maybe not a gimme, but one Tyler Fury will take for sure.
He'll get himself on the board for the first time here in the search and destroy. Better late than never. 2 versus 2 bomb in the hands of this man, Tyler himself. Tech's going to force his team not to be able to go out those doors just yet. Bendy still has the sniper out, and if you are Tyler, you just need to get across this site very, very quickly. Shot going to ring out. They know that this player is on the site. Bomb should go down here, but his Relays is going to be able to find one. It's Tyler forced to back off. 9 HP, will escape with his life, but they could go for the fuse.
And they are quick on the chase. Bendy with a pistol in hand. Maybe go try for a quick scope here. Out of the back window, is able to pick up a Vaz. The pens should be developed. trade either way should be coming in. That is going to be a 4th consecutive round on the board for St. Clair. The retakes look strong. The first bloods look great as well. A couple of chin-ups to keep the blood pumping.
3, 4, 8, 5, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 12. Okay, that's enough. Gotta get a little pump in over here on the site. But regardless of the fact, 4 straight rounds. Having a little fun here on the map. And now for Ontario Tech, the decision is, how do you move forward here in the search and destroy? Time after time, Cash, we've seen teams be able to pull 2 straight rounds right off the rip. A newfound confidence, maybe some momentum, hot guns to start off the game. But then another team, especially one like St. Clair, can just be able to completely rip everything that you had done apart, fight back with their own aggression, and be able to change the map up in the way that they want to.
For Ontario Tech, it's gonna start with what got them their first 2 round wins. It's trading effectively, keeping things in a manageable situation. A 2v2 that turned 1v1 in the opening round. A similar situation in the second round as well. You cannot let these players make explosive plays. Relay's still on a 5 spree here as well. Again, it all comes down to first bloods and trades, where Ontario Tech have been suffering as of the last several rounds.
See if they'll suffer the same fate this time, and they will. Chef tries to get a little aggressive. Do a little dance around the backside flank, but he won't be able to walk away with a gunfight. However, Shadow will be getting an equalizing trade over by P1, backs off over towards B in the safety of middle map, but they don't realize that St. Clair is trying to make their move up at the moment. Tyler laying in wait in the corner, touching grass for the first time today, I'm certain of it. And as he goes around to the corner to the right side, Priestley's going to be there for another engagement. This is the first blood here over towards A. Bomb still in the hands of Priestley. Can get this down here in just a moment if he wants to, but he needs to be careful because Schmutz is trying to make his way up the map, but it's also Brandon in the back now making a flank through.
A great grenade. The way that they hold on to their utility, even into the mid-round, has fared for them so well. Brandon also connected with a nade earlier in the search and destroy. Bomb's going to be down another 1v3 for any Ontario Tech player to have themselves in. Not going to be a fun one for Shadow. Try your hand out to see what you can find. Bending the back lines with the sniper, that's going to force you to keep things at quite a distance, and yeah, they're just going to run laps.
Oh. Nice shot there, forced to reload. Priestley on the truck, just trying to play this head glitch. I mean, all they're doing right now is just stalling the timeout that Shadow just not going to have left in the round, but it's another great shot in the way ahead shot that will come through. Unfortunately, though, just again, not enough time to be able to walk away from the defuse. He'll hop off of it, try to play for the kill here. Number 4 is not going to be able to get there. St. Clair rattles off 5 straight rounds. One more will get them the search and destroy win. Ontario Tech still scraping for any semblance of an answer to this aggression that they're getting shown face from St. Clair. They need to not get blooded. Simple as that.
Yeah, you can't dice it up in a more complex way. Sometimes it comes down to winning some gunfights. You talked about it so well. They were winning their ones in their first couple of rounds. That hasn't been the case. Schmutz started off 3-1 through the opening 2 rounds, is since 0-5. So, again, you called it as something that was a good sign for this team that has quickly come to bite them and really have the adverse effects. And now for the Saints, they can get how they want to. They can play aggressive. Why? Because they have the win condition set. They have control of the pace of this S&D. They can have their way around the map.
Three will hop down. Bottom art occupied at the moment by St. Clair. As Brandon walks away with the gunfight, Priestley will be there as well. Shadow. Last alive in a 1 versus 3. And as quickly as that bomb was able to go down, St. Clair were able to win the gunfights around the map. Take it all the way back from down 0-2 to a 6-2 search and destroy win. Pull-ups on the bar. A little bit of a show for the end of the search and destroy. And, well, a limp body on the floor is essentially the story of the search and destroy.
Truly the case. But another thing to pivot and talk about St. Clair, it hasn't been the cleanest from them at times, and to me it's been both modes. They've come out flat off the opening break, whether that be P1 to P2 on the hard point, the first 2 rounds of the search and destroy against a team like Ontario Tech. Perhaps we've seen, yes, they can get away with something like that, but again, for this team, because we have such high expectations, you think about getting to a squad like a Northwood, like a Davenport, something of that sort. You're not going to be able to come out as flat. That's also been a pain point to them. We were both in Philly just a couple short months ago where their pain point was coming out flat in different maps and modes. So still something that they're needing to work on at times for St. Clair. Again, it's been a good rally back from them whenever they've found stride and got momentum. They haven't looked back. But again, these opening breaks against better teams are going to be very unforgiving. Something that, you hope they're circling to try and clean up as the weeks go on. But for now, it has been a very solid series.
Well, Ontario Tech, you've got one answer left in the pot. Do you have what it takes for a reverse sweep? At least right now, as a betting man, I would say probably not against a very strong St. Clair team. That first hard point, admittedly, the score line was relatively close, closer than most people probably thought coming into this matchup. But I think that bodes well in a lot of ways for this control coming up, because the search and destroy, albeit again, it was another just 6 straight rounds that came through from the Saints. Ontario Tech, those flashes of brilliance in the pan that we saw at the very beginning, if you could just find any way to keep that going, or just have one person be that pop off that you need for everybody to kind of have that catalyst of all right, we're in this, we're good to go, and just take a round, maybe 2, and then win your control. Well, then you can force a hydroelectric map number 4. Maybe we start talking business. But at least right now, these St. Clair Saints, they are looking stormy and good here in this best of 5 series. They're looking like a top dog of their division again.
Absolutely the case. Your Asilo is going to be, again, your best mode. We talked about it. If you're Ontario Tech, one that you're undefeated in amidst the other, maybe a little more coin tossy mode. So you're feeling good about their odds in the sense of, hey, if there's ever a mode for them to rally a comeback, it would be this one. And this one being, well, the second best of our 3 control maps. Again, it's never over until it's over. You've caught St. Clair lacking on the opening break. How can you throw an even harder punch here that maybe stuns them to extend your advantage and your momentum to a couple rounds?
Offense wins on this map more times than you'd like to think, but a very strong defense can be the bane of the enemy team's existence. You let that spawn trap come in, and all of a sudden you are in spawn hell. And this El Asilo becomes very, very unmanageable. Tough beast to tame. Tyler Fury is going to get over towards A here on defense to start things off. Schmutz will open things up with the first blood. Priestley's there for 1 now, making a double. So as quickly as St. Clair loses a couple of bodies, they go ahead and reclaim the lead in terms of the life advantage remaining here inside of the round. And the Shadow's up and towards the top. Will make his way and presence known here over towards the site.
You're gonna try to find a couple kills, but you are chasing ghosts if you're Shadow. The way that they're just moving around, staying alive, and playing their life, definitely something that's going to be annoying to deal with as the map goes on. Chef in the respawn, finding a way to piece together a couple kills. You hope to get the troops rallied on board sooner than later, but has definitely been more so of a standout for them in their respawns. We'll see if we continue that kind of gameplay. Now does St. Clair have more even maybe trying to work both sides, not too pressed about stopping the clock yet, more so trying to play for some map control.
Bendy displeased with the opponent he puts down here instead of the field. As he starts to make his way over towards this B point, third of the way through the A zone is St. Clair. This offense hasn't been kind to them so far, but as Brandon finds a kill there on a Chef in the middle of the map, that's going to open up this mid building for them to really start making their way forward. If your ARs can get on some good positions, force Schmutz off the angles or anybody off the back lines, you're looking really good here. But as soon as the St. Clair get on that point, Ontario Tech make the very calculated call for everybody to swarm back over towards the point. They do a great job of cutting everything down on this offensive push, and now this is forcing St. Clair back over towards this A point.
And again, it's something weird where, again, it was indecision for what looked like indecision for St. Clair off the break. Now to put them in a harder position than necessary. Maybe they were trying to see if Ontario Tech would overextend, give them some free kills, resulting in map positioning, but that simply wasn't the case. And now you're in a position where you've got to set this point, you've got to make it a perfect hold to stay alive. And Ontario Tech can look to throw lives at this if they want.
I don't know if I love the decision, though, because that's going to make things inside of St. Clair's favor. 17-15, 2 lives go their way. Only a minute and 8, though. 2 win conditions on the board. Do you win it in the lives, or do you win it by capturing the points here on offense? The same thing can be said for defense, but just holding on for as much time as humanly possible. Chef, yet again, the first point of contact for Ontario. Another offensive hit gets over towards B. Got about 2 more concisive hits here for St. Clair until this round is basically unwinnable.
Which is a positive for Ontario Tech that they bled enough of the clock that we're sitting at 39 seconds left in this round. One that could have been put away and having a couple minutes to work with. Now St. Clair, again, more pressured than necessary, I think is the best way to put it. They put themselves in the spot to really have to work these picks, get towards this D site with one failed swoop, and kills not quite going their way as easy as they'd like.
10 versus 10, 25 seconds left. On top of the trades right now is Ontario Tech, but there's still a blue body here, and it's Priestley. He can be a disruption in your forces. He can get into your back lines for free. But all it takes is one good kill that allows the rest of the team to start marching their way forward. 10 seconds left. This has turned into a foot race back over towards the hill. You have to cut down Chef if you are the side of St. Clair, and you do. Now that's 3 bodies down. You look to player 7. Schmutz, the last one alive over towards the point, but you stalled out the clock. He's made his foot forward. He started to make his play. He's found the first. Snaps to the second. It's good for two, not the third. Relays and Priestley are still here, but as Relays falls, the time will run down. The defense will take the first round. Ontario Tech up 1-0 in the control.
Another point where simply saying there's caught flat-footed is what it boils down to. Everyone getting some good kills on the board, aware of the situation, bleeding the clock to a T. A good defensive hold out of Ontario Tech where, again, you don't give up a lot of progress at B, and that's going to bode well if you have to extend this control. Great first round out of them. And for St. Clair, another one where off the break, you are simply caught lacking.
Priestley ends the previous round on 5 straight. Would love to see a bait out of St. Clair for Priestley early on in the round, but knowing Priestley, he's probably just going to fly straight up the map and go for the kill himself. He'll jump across. Tyler Fury going to be there. Chef will be the second victim to fall to the hands of the man on a mission. 7 straight, a streak in the back pocket. Off spawn, dead silence will be ripped for Tyler. Wants to take a route through the mid building, but it's the defense that's swarming right now for St. Clair. They have so many angles locked down, and Relays can just be such a nuisance here over by the radio tower with the AR in hand.
St. Clair saying, anything you can do, I can do better. Here to start this defense. Not quite a spawn trap in place, but very much possessing a majority of the map. Cuts are covered. Knows someone has slipped the net. Trying to figure out where this next gunfight is going to be. Tyler Fury maybe trying to figure out a soft spot for St. Clair, and unfortunately, you're not going to walk away from the gunfight. Priestley now double positive in this one early on. 35 seconds and ticking as you look to stop the clock. It's just going to be a transition back and forth to each site trying to take care of these kills.
I mean, it was a full minute and 10 seconds that this round had to get taken off of it before the side of Ontario Tech had even got a touch on one of the 2 objective points. So you're trying to get through your first tick of progress here over on B. The problem is that Brandon is there from the top, who's going to be able to jump down, take you out, and now you have Bendy on the flank that you have to worry about. Good thing Chef was keen to the push that was being made. However, you still have Brandon on the point, waiting for this push to come through, and all it takes is 2 players to go down for this to be completely ruined.
Someone playing your top window, you'd like to snitch this out to make your transition across the map that much easier. Priestley will connect with a grenade. A couple players on the B site for now. When does the collapse come in and from what angle? It's looking like through the back lines, but have Ontario Tech sniffed it out? They have, but again, Priestley's going to win the gunfight.
I mean, you want at least a tick of progress on either the A or the B zones, or you walk away empty-handed from this offense. Schmutz is going to be forced to back off. Nice little jump challenge around the right side is going to be able to find the kill, but he won't be able to get onto the point in time. So the little tippy-toe maneuver that he did there at the end won't amount to anything. No ticks of progress here on offense for Ontario Tech. St. Clair looking good on defense.
I can't believe we only have 3 total ticks of progress through 2 rounds for either of these teams. We'll see what St. Clair brings this time around. On the next offensive attempt, we're drawn up here 1-1. Lives, well, marginally favoring St. Clair, especially Priestley out to 16-7 at this point. Ontario Tech need to make a good defensive stand once again. Obviously, giving up no ticks feels like a near impossible ask, but if they can replicate the defensive round they just had, again, they're still sitting fairly well.
And realistically, Schmutz loves taking this first point of contact, just like jumping across a lane or being able to take a gunfight first. It's like it's something he loves to do. Bread and butter, Brandon. Hey, oh, we'll be seeing you, pal. Put down, sick dog style. As they get back over towards A, starting to get closer and closer towards that first tick of progress coming through. The clock stopped at 1 minute and 3 seconds, and Ontario Tech, they're going to invest lives over here towards the A point.
And it's all going to be wiped away. First tick made. No stack coming in. St. Clair putting way more emphasis on map control and more trust on their player on time. And you can see with 2 players playing top patio, they want to influence these spawns. They want to push Ontario Tech into the bottom left corner. But until they can get someone over AC, over playing hill, they'll still be spawning close for now as A will be secured in but a moment. Ontario Tech maybe trying to put pressure on this transition to make it a less smooth one at that.
You know, Amber, it's like you had talked about beforehand, the you know, kind of how like the game will play out over time. And how, you know, a specific team will opt to, you know, maybe potentially go over towards, you know, that B zone first, but you know, like taking that A zone right off the rip, it can just be so important in a lot of circumstances, and having that extra 2 minutes to work with here on offense for St. Clair is just going to be so good.
Well, and to kind of continue to build upon that point, I think so often, especially with it being a few years of the installations of control, people say, let's go for the harder site, that way our job's easier. Here in Warfare 2, we've seen a lot of stark a-holes from the defensive team. So again, I think more so, like you were saying, getting 2 minutes on the clock to wear the defense, knowing you ultimately just need 1-4 down on any of these maps that we have, is definitely something that I think a lot of teams overthink and step away from unnecessarily. Here, St. Clair, get back to their roots, get back to playing what's simple, getting time on the board, wearing down the opposition, and finding themselves now just needing a tick and a half of progress with still 60 seconds to work that and a life advantage.
Relay's trying to work around with attack in hand. Won't be able to find anything except his own demise. Shadow, long shot's going to be there. Trade in the technical way, but still a 4 life advantage to the side of St. Clair. Not on the point just yet, but it is a tick of progress on this B zone that is good for them. 50 seconds left here in the round. 13 to 11 in the life count. And if you're St. Clair, I would love to see you just play a bit more passive here off the respawn. Wait for all your forces to get into the right place, and then do what you're best at, making a calculated team push and hitting from every conceivable angle.
Bendy, a player you're relying on to spearhead the flank, catch a couple players off guard, but I think they're going to be ready for it. Schmutz is able to find the kill, so once again, an unfortunate situation where you're waiting on a point man to make a play, isn't quite able to. Now you have to battle it on the flood. Gunfight's gonna go down. Can you win your once? Can you trade effectively? That's gonna be the question for St. Clair to stay on top. And so far they're doing that, but things go back to even quickly.
Even quickly, and yet again, it's going to be a one-on-one at the point, but the reinforcements from the offense are going to be here. As Bendy hops across the point, you can see all those blue arrows now starting to scatter their way up the map, but they have to get there quick, and you have to look to Bendy to be able to make not only a play to get one down in the back, but be able to get back onto that B point to stack with the rest of the team. 2 kills come in. Chef, the last one here, trying to get through the back lines, but it's Bendy over the top with a teammate out of heaven. You have to be able to find this last player around the corner in the field, and you do. Nobody's going to be there for a contestation from the defensive team, and with only 2 lives remaining, St. Clair will take their second round straight to give them a 2-1 advantage in the control. They are now at series point.
And they'll be going back to a defense where they give up 0 picks the last time. Expect them to play with a lot more pace, a lot more intensity. Force Ontario Tech to win this round in a grueler of what will be 2 or so minutes for them. Slang has stayed relatively even, still leaning the way of St. Clair with 25-13 and 22-16 performances out of Priestley and Bendy. And simply put, you don't have that on the other side to that extent. Tyler Fury sure has gotten out to a decent amount of kills, but again, with Chef being double negative nearly in this control, again, I say pain point so often, but that's definitely something you're going to look at and hope to try to correct. Brandon also opening 2-piece. I think it's the second round in a row. He found just an opening 2-piece here in mid-map.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, it's hard to do anything, especially when so much of control relies on that opening break and what you do with it and how you come out on top of it. Good news is you were able to mitigate as much as humanly possible. You got a body over towards A. Schmutz is here by himself on B, just trying to go ahead and get himself some time. But regardless, no matter which way you look at it, the clock has been stopped. One of the 2 sites has been getting increased. And over at A, that first tick of progress will come in. So 1/3 of the way there over at B. The defense that shuts things down with 58 seconds left in the round, you can start making a break back over towards A.
And they trust their ability to go live with this and maybe get a wipe here. Brandon once again through the back lines. Gonna catch the leg of a player playing boxes. His teammate should be out quickly on the trade in Priestley. And your player cell tower Shadow has a decision where you can only play up there so long. We talk about player discipline in different capacities. Here it is in control where you can only sit up, take that part of the map so long if you're being ineffective. At some point you got to get in the mix and help your teammates. Schmutz going to win a big gunfight, thinking you only need a little bit of progress left. You're going to slip back up there, and for now, St. Clair will back off. You look to get set up at B.
It's like taking a long flank route and like waiting for your teammates to get set in positions, but then they just don't win the gunfights, and you're useless in the back of the map because you're not doing anything to force the other team away from your spawn side. So it just gets extremely difficult. Regardless, though, Ontario backs against the wall here. Have to win this control round to keep this series going. As Priestley hops around the corner. At 29-16 here in map 3, trying to put the team on his back. We're the Greg Jennings. And all that matters now, all that's standing in between is St. Clair 3-0 and Ontario Tech being able to maintain this here is that illustrious B zone and 16 lives.
Frontier Tech, it's back-to-back offenses regardless, so pick your poison, look to flesh out a strategy that maybe can help you in the next round if you take this one. Good news is lives are still manageable. You have 60 seconds to work with, both of which could quickly slip by the wayside if you're not careful. They have good map spacing. It's just a matter of finding a couple of these kills, but you know these players are going to sit off angles. Tyler Fury's able to find it at least, and now you start to see the march begin.
Still down by 1 life, though. And as the bodies continue to drop, Priestley was at 5 before he got cut back down. Tyler, beautiful shots in the relays. Now you can start getting out over towards this B point. You have the bodies here if you're Ontario Tech, but it just needs to be this final team hit that has to come through. Time not working in your favor. Lives not working in your favor. And Priestley is absolutely not working in your favor as he finds the first of 3 here that are in and around the point. Bendy, nice little trade there. 2-1 they go. St. Clair on top of the rotations here for now. And as the last 2 players fall, it's 10 seconds left. A foot race across the map is what it needs to be, and as Brandon gets some long-range shots, he'll back that player off, runs directly into the line of fire that relays Taz for him, and as that clock expires, St. Clair, they'll stay undefeated in each and every mode and on the season as well. They improved to 3-0, and they can keep their season at the top of their division.
Great way to close it out for St. Clair and for Ontario Tech there. They had good map positioning, but as you were saying, could not find the kills, and therefore couldn't influence spawns. You kept these players spawning close, you couldn't get AC control, you couldn't find a way to push spawns to the other side of the map, and well, that always kept St. Clair in and around the action. Great job from them to, again, find form. A little shaky at times, I've got to be honest. Not in a way that was ever going to cost them a map per se, but definitely something where, again, interested if we do end up having an interview to ask, are we expanding map pool? What was the game plan coming into tonight? Because it did definitely look a little bit more penetrable at times.
Yeah, you know, earlier you might have heard me lose my train of thought a little bit inside of that last game. What I was going to ask Amber was about St. Clair, like, you know, the slow starts that they have, are they necessarily a bad thing, or can they at times be a good thing? Because those slow starts, it allows them to get so much information on the other team and then play to that team's weaknesses within those first moments. So sure, at times it might be a bad thing, it might be a good thing, but like overall, Amber, you know, taking that into account, kind of the overall feel of that.
Yeah, it's definitely one word that could let you feel the other team, maybe see some of their best tricks pulled out of the book early on, give you an idea of how they play, so maybe it is 2 steps ahead of even what my analytical brain was thinking, so something we can definitely ask in the interview that we have coming up, but a very interesting point.
Absolutely. We'll send things to a short break. When we come back, we'll have an interview with the winning team of St. Clair Saints, so don't go anywhere. They Star League, back in a minute. Welcome back to the Naystar League. If you're just joining us, Call of Duty portion of the night, the St. Clair Saints took down the Ontario Tech roster in a 3-0 sweep, ending on an LSC low control, which was a 3-1 scoreline. Here with the winning team, we've got Bendy from the St. Clair roster joining us for an interview. Bendy, congratulations on the win. It was a pretty quick series overall. You know, relatively decent competition for you guys. What is this kind of as like a stepping stone towards the ultimate goal of winning a championship this year?
Yeah, this is just another day to get reps in, you know? Get a chem with the squad, game day mentality, get some chemistry in.
Definitely so. For you guys, I mean, you look at some of the score lines here, maybe playing, I guess, closer to your guys' standards. I was talking even before the interview to Alex and saying, you know, nothing that was in jeopardy of losing a map, but uncharacteristically slow. You think that P1 to P2 break on Embassy, where they're able to garner a significant amount of time, the first 2 rounds in the S&D, and then, of course, them taking a control round. Is that something where you guys are glaringly worried about and going to look to address, or is it something that you know what you did and you'll have it corrected going into next time's matches?
Oh, no, definitely yelling at ourselves. Gonna be 100% better in the next one. Know exactly what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as you say, you guys put a lot of emphasis on getting reps in, getting good chemistry in. How is that feeling for you guys? Whether it be you give me an answer maybe on a 10-point scale, or maybe where you guys finished last year. Are things trending upward? Are you guys having a good time at the team camp? I mean, we can tell the search and story, you're having some fun, but how do you guys feel outside of the tangible things like scoreboards?
No, definitely love these guys. We're definitely a close team. Do everything together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, feeling good. It's probably gonna be an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 actually. Getting there to a 10 now.
Oh yeah. Well, as things wrap up towards the end of the season, you know, I'm gonna ask the hard question. Who's your favorite teammate? Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. Hey, that's smart. That's 100 IQ right there. Oh God.
One of your favorite teammates is sitting right there.
Yeah, one of the 3.
One of them. Who knows?
All right, buddy. Congratulations on the win, my man. Have a great night, and hopefully we'll see you guys fighting for another championship here at the end of the year.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's going to be it for our first matchup of the night. Next up, we've got Old Dominion going up against James Madison. This is going to be a fun one. 2 teams vying for spots at the top of their division. James Madison still undefeated across their modes and their series counts as well. So on the flip side of a break, we'll start talking a little bit more about those 2 teams. We'll bring you the map set, we'll bring you the rosters, we'll bring you everything along those lines as well. So Naystar League will be back here in just a moment. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. Don't go anywhere. Second best of 5 of the night, Old Dominion, James Madison, a best of 5 series that will determine placing, seeding, and much more towards the end of the year. You know, this is kind of a matchup where we're almost framing it up as James Madison has a phenomenal opportunity to kind of leapfrog in their standings. But on the flip side of that coin, you know, Old Dominion, they can also capitalize and save their hopes at a top division finish with a win over a very strong James Madison roster. And this is where the kind of, you know, the pendulum swings of like, okay, is this going to be what some people kind of see as like a maybe potential 3-0 out of James Madison? Old Dominion maybe on the flip side of the coin be able to come out and just pound it to the dogs of James Madison. It really just, at least in my opinion, almost feels like, again, not a must win in that regard, but this is going to give us a very clear picture of both of the skills and strengths of each of these two teams within their division.
Absolutely so. And for Old Dominion, as you were kind of shaping up, it gives them a chance to really prove that they want to be a mainstay at the top portion of this division respectively, right? They've yet to find sure footing in their first few weeks of matches. Control is perhaps their best mode. They've had close wins and close losses between the hardpoint and the search and destroy. Here we'll get a good look at this team's identity, again, where they find their strengths from. But having looked at the rosters for either side, I mean, I know Monday you got to see this James Madison team play, and who are your standouts going into this early?
Well, here's the thing, right? You look at that roster, and there is a very capable roster of 4 guys on that James Madison team. The person that stood out to me the most within that series, though, was T-Web. Throughout the entirety, whether it be a hardpoint, search and destroy, control, as we take a look at our map sets, you know, he was just kind of that guy throughout the whole series. It was big 2 pieces to break open a hard point, or in the search and destroy, he was that first blood machine with attack in his hands, and all these different things culminated into just a really strong series. I think within the series, he had like a 1.5 or a 1.6 KD against a strong high point university as well. Which just goes to show that this James Madison team isn't one to be messed with in a lot of regards. And you have to take them very seriously when you're going into a matchup against them. And that's going to be a true test here for Old Dominion. You know, not to say Old Dominion is a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but just getting to see this James Madison team multiple times firsthand throughout the year, you have to shut down T-Web if you want to make any sort of impression in this series.
Keep your hot hands slow. Find a way to get yourself out of that shaped up for ODU footing, not only in the map, but in the series, and, well, potentially as a roster as a whole, making your mark here in the Star League. And any good start here is going to bode well for them, as you were alluding to, but James Madison know exactly what they want to do and need to do. A very hot team right now, making waves in and around the respective leagues, and off to a good start here.
I'll tell you this, one person who needed to have a great start to this best of 5 was Kelp. You know, the series that I watched with them on Monday on the struggle bus, and I mean it was like the magic school bus to hell for Kelp. He just could not get out of the ringer throughout the entire match, but now that he's able to at least have a new start, fresh beginnings here, you can get mixy with a sub on this map, and for James Madison, they need him to go big if they want a chance in this best of 5. Regardless of the fact, though, T-Web set up on the dome looking for a few players that are crossing over towards the P2 side of the map, but the first point of contact is going to be player in 1, but it's T-Web who's there to at least shut the first player down. Here comes Love, though. Snaps to the second. Isn't there for a trade, but it's a pinstripe kill feed that goes back and forth that allows T-Web to stay on 3 in a row. High ground gonna reign supreme.
You're going to ward off this first push on Old Dominion, and again, continue to zone out beyond the hard point just to make them fight you off spawn once again. Sure, Raw takes care of things in the mid cut, but where one player falls, another fills for James Madison. A full 60 still in the docket with 30 seconds up for grabs, and they already have themselves a 50-point lead.
Someone has got to shut down T-Web. I mean, like, I know I gave him the talk coming into this, like, yeah, you have to shut him down, but allowing him to get streaks early on in the game, it's just not going to bode well for you on a very open map like Hydro Electric. Regardless, though, Noodles trying to hold down the middle of the map. Good rotation once again by James Madison. Old Dominion have not been able to keep up thus far here on Hydro. However, as we ping-pong back to the opposite side of the map, they are going to have themselves nice and set up. Kelp going to be the first one pushed forward here for James Madison. They're just trying to find one to maybe start scrambling the team that's inside of the hill to where they can really set up themselves a beautiful break.
So many points of entry on this hill, so many lanes to be aware of at any time, and spawns in the back as you see team up spawning up. Will they be ready for it? Answer going to be no, at least checking the wrong angle. So still soaking time. First 20 go your way fairly cleanly, but can you hold on and, well, make it a bit more?
Semtex in from T-Web. That's going to give them the break that they wanted in towards the point. The player that was up top trying to rain hell from above is going to fall immediately after the hands of Poker. Static looking to make his way up the map. T-Web, Kelp going to pair for a few kills, and now as Static is here towards the point, who is going to be the point of contact that needs to shut things down? The answer is nobody. Static, 3-piece, Spawn still in the back for James Madison, but in a 40-point game, these 15 seconds of scrap time and these early rotations are going to matter so much more than you might think.
Though you get the back 15, and that absolutely will have implications, it was enough to at least not give it to James Madison for free and give you a chance to get set up on P4. So you're going to need a full 60 to respond and get yourself tied up in this game. That's not going to start very well with the streak connecting and a player going down on rotation. They're going to back up for spawn, even though they still will flip out. Maybe a pinch play developing, but Old Dominion has to get time.
I mean, they need to go quick if you are James Madison, because that flank is going to come through quickly. However, his Prey is going to be able to snap onto Love. That shuts down the artificial flank that they had set up for themselves. Spawn's still going to be here. I like the streak usage because it keeps the side of Old Dominion out of the hill early on, allows your reinforcements to get into position, and then you can start making your break in towards the hill while not allowing Old Dominion with the close spawns to get tons of time inside of the hill. There it is, the flip out. And although you only played it for about 30 seconds of time, that 30 seconds could put you up by almost 100 points, which getting towards the end of this game and a rotation back towards another hill with a lot of points of entry for a very scrappy contestation point, it's going to matter a lot.
Slang favoring James Madison here as we start to wrap up our first set of rotations. Not by a lot. Really, T-Web, you'd called it as a standout player, being the main problem for Old Dominion to handle. Sure, no one's positive for their side, but again, you get a few good kills to go your way, suddenly the landscape of things can change. And for James Madison, I mean, they are simply heads on a swivel, aware of everything they need to watch on the map as mixy and unpredictable as Hydro can play at times, making perfect sense of the chaos.
And look, you know, I'm going to give people flowers when it's due, and right now Kelp has proved me completely wrong. A minute 43 in the hill, 9-5, isn't doing anything super crazy in the slaying department, but he's doing everything that the team needs him to do when it comes to the objective time to allow these slaying ARs and SMGs to get around the map and make sure Old Dominion can't hit from all the chaotic angles in and around the point. So this has just been a very phenomenal set of hard points, and the strings that they've had together, whether it be on a nice little break or an early rotation out, have been wonderful.
James Madison in complete control of this game as we get back to P1. Old Dominion, well, has to make a stand, of course. This is really their only point left to do it, to even get a chance to carve away at this lead. But you start to talk win condition, you start to talk about putting this one away, and if James Madison aren't there now, surely another clean kill feed and guarding a lot of time on P1 could put him there.
Prey going to be laying down in towards the point, starting to make their way forward. Poker, gunfight. Are they going to realize that in the back line is Old Dominion? The answer, yes, once again. Raw onto Poker. Still on 5 in a row is Prey. Now make it 4 for T-Web at 20-8. He is leading the way yet again for James Madison in another best-of-5 series in a collegiate league. Prey pops 3 straight. That's 8 in a row. Streak on the table. 190-53 and counting for James Madison. They're going to put themselves well past that 200-point mark if they hold down the last 15 seconds of the scrap time.
253. Old Dominion simply have no answer for what James Madison has done around the map, whether it be influencing spawn, developing pinch plays to open a hard point, or bullying out one lane through the front. The Dogs have it all here on map number 1. Old Dominion are going to have to try to rally back quite the response in map 2, but for now, they could maybe try to build upon any small successes they find here to close this one out, but a solid P2 hold and no one close enough for a break attempt yet. This one's 25 points from being over.
Static making his way forward, up on top of the dome. We'll find Poker, but T-Web's there for a trade. He's got himself on yet another 7 spree in the game. 24-8. Holding down the lanes here over towards the hill. 20 seconds is all they need to walk away with the win. You have to look for Raw on the back line, who's trying to make some noise, but guess who? It's T-Web. He rings the doorbell. Answer is there, shuts him down, knocks him in the face, and with 10 seconds left, Old Dominion have gotten put in the blender. You like quick hard points? Well, they're about to get 60-point clubbed.
Very tough scenes for Old Dominion in map 1. And for James Madison, we said the team as a whole run a hot streak. Look to continue that to kick things off tonight. 250-53. If there ever was a statement to be made in a map that you said could, have clear and significant impacts on the league as a whole, on their standings for playoffs going into the back half of the regular season, this is one way to open up the night.
Yeah, I mean, again, coming into this top of the portion of this match that we were talking about, I mentioned undefeated, but it's not just undefeated inside of the Star League in terms of the series overall. It's the fact that every single map and mode that they have played, they have gone undefeated, and they haven't lost a single map thus far, and that looks no different. They haven't wavered in their respawns, and I don't expect them to do the same thing in the Search and Destroy. This is a team where you have a lot of tough opponents still left to play throughout the remainder of the season, but on the opposite side of the coin, Old Dominion still has 2 or 3 tough matches still to play, and that doesn't really bode well for all that much success. I get it's only one map in a best of 5 series, but getting 60 point clubbed against the James Madison roster, who you're supposed to be fighting against for a top divisional spot, it leaves you kind of speechless in a lot of ways.
No, a tough way to come out. And just to talk more about, again, if you're not convinced yet that James Madison have been putting on an impressive one, just here in the Star League, through their first 2 series, they've given up a combined 122 points in hardpoint, have only lost 3 Search and Destroy rounds combined, and are flawless in control. So again, if that hasn't sold you, well, hopefully this past point can, because again, they put down 53 there and have continued to give up less than 200 total points through 3 different hardpoint maps, which is just insane.
Yeah. One of the points that we, again, kind of discussed before we went live, even with the first match of the day for this JMU roster, was like, okay, well, when we talk about Search and Destroy, it heavily, at least in the series that we saw Monday, relied on one player having a pop-off moment to get the rest of the squad involved. That's something that you cannot afford here on the Hotel. This is a map that I wanted to see them actually play again, because I wanted to see how they would fix the different problems that arose for them on Monday versus a very strong high-point Search and Destroy team. So now that they've brought this into the rotation, they've got it for themselves yet again. How do you give yourself a new light or a new availability in your mental thought process of the different pushes and executions you want to make on the map? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be seeing Hotel Search and Destroy a lot throughout the season and even in towards the playoffs. It's not an auto veto for you. That's Fortress. You don't like that map for Search and Destroy, and we know that too well.
Definitely so, and yeah, you say it. It's also a quick turnaround for them to look to correct those mistakes. It's going to be really Tuesday being their only day to kind of get in the lab and get VOD done and sort through things, and here you get the game plan ready for now. So the respawn's looking sharp. Oh, so excited for the Search and Destroy to see how quickly this team can grow, can correct mistakes, and look to put themselves on the right track. But for now, more than on the right track in this series, we'll go Elisilo, Fortress, Elisilo if we need the back 2 maps to close it out, but are guaranteed that for control. And I mean, the way this team is ticking, you talked about Kelp having a slow start in their series a couple of days ago. That's fortunately for James Madison fans not the case. Unfortunately for ODU fans, that's not the case, because you were hoping to keep at least one of these 4 players dormant to make things a little bit easier for yourself. Now that he's frying, now that he's getting around the objective, well, this just poses a much more dangerous and threatening JMU team.
It's always funny too, because like we go into a series, we're like, okay, well, what is your key to success? Oh, you have to shut down this player. It is so astronomically hard to stop one player from being able to pop off. Like for us to say it, it seems so easy. It's like, oh, all you gotta do to win this game, you gotta shut down T-Web. But in order to shut down T-Web, your AR has to be better and or beat out T-Web in the gunfights that he's taking, and your SMGs just can't run in open lanes without your ARs being able to cover and clear them. And when T-Web is able to get into the position like top dome, where he was on a 7 spree without any sort of contention, no nades, no stuns that were trying to get him off of that power point, and then all the way over towards the tail end of the hard point where he's just sat in P2 again, just by his lonesome, holding down the back line of flanks that were coming through, wanky spawns that just somehow afforded the side of Old Dominion to have maybe a shot to break the hill at the end. Like, you don't shut him down, it's a GG, but it's how do you shut that player down? And well, the simple thing is win a gunfight against him, and if you can't do that, well, you're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah, definitely not. And the only other way you can really match a player on the map is to watch their VOD, see their tendencies moving around. Sure, you would say last week early on in the season, but here we're already at the tipping point going into the back half of the regular season. I mean, you're going to perform as well and mitigate players' effects as well as you study them. We talk about how important it is to do VOD for yourself, of course, and find ways to improve your team, and that's a lot to handle in and of itself, but you talk about the scouting reports, you talk about what you need to do to find things about other teams, what the other players' tendencies are. And,
riveting.
Hey, I mean, with no one for JMU on the map, I think Old Dominion stand their best chance.
I mean, low-key, you've already taken a few players out in the back line. We have, respawn and search and destroy. That was crazy. All right, so I guess we have a little bit more time to talk about the search and destroy now. But regardless of that fact, I guess what I was going to kind of make my next point on was like, for James Madison, if search and destroy becomes a struggle later on in the year, and you know you're still relying on your hard points and controls, that's great. I just don't want this to be a team that feels like they have all the answers figured out, and the little bit of VOD that they have done correctly that has paid off against you know, teams that might be not necessarily a little worse, but just more susceptible to not being able to overcome the things that you're doing on the map. I hope that can translate in a substantial way to where they're actually putting in things and implementing things that are going to work against better teams, instead of having to go back from square one again, back to the drawing board, and really just making sure that everything is changed completely and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, and that also comes with having the humility to know that there's something to learn from every series. This hard point that we just played, there's something to learn from that for them to better themselves as a team. Though there's only 50 points worth of things, and you want to say there's just 50 point worth of things, but actually it's again what they were doing as well. Maybe they wanted a cleaner setup or a cleaner break on one portion of things. Maybe they wish they would have played this trade situation a little bit differently. Again, there's so much to learn, and it doesn't matter what skill level you're playing against per se in your division or anything. Shaping up for playoffs, every rep matters, every gunfight matters, and you have to take it like it does. And again, know that whether it be the best team we're going to face and it's a tough loss, or it's the easiest team we'll ever play and it's the easiest victory ever, know that both can provide insight to your team that maybe you didn't have before, given the perspective of things. So though it's only been one map, and I feel like for Old Dominion we've said, oh, there's no hope, chalk things up. Never the case, right? So though there's so much on the line for Old Dominion just to pivot their way, the same thing can be said for them. You went out, you lost a very tough hard point. This is a good test to see for a squad in this situation. What does the mental fortitude look like in a situation where, hey, we went out, we got absolutely stunned map one. What can we do to bounce back and give ourselves a good position, a good opportunity to draw the series up at 1-1?
Absolutely. And you know, I do feel a little bad because like this has kind of turned into like the JMU conversation piece, but to give, you know, ODU their dues, realistically, you know, teams that don't perform well in hard points, at least out of the gates, typically come out and perform well in search and destroy in some capacity. That's just kind of how the duality of Call of Duty works. You have your respawn players and you have your search and destroy players, and if you can comfortably take a search and destroy every single time, even against a very strong, competitive, and well put together roster, that gives you so many opportunities throughout the rest of the series. All it takes is, you know, a control win, or maybe you steal a close map 4 and then force maybe a map 5 or something like that. You've got yourself a series win. But I think ODU is going to have a very substantial amount of good coming for them in the search and destroy, and I hope they do so. While we're getting the lobby set up in the background, sorry to keep you waiting. I know I love you. I hope you you love hearing us talk and vamp about these teams as much as the next guy, but we're gonna step aside. When we come back, we'll have the search and destroy on Hotel for you between Old Dominion and JMU. number 2, search and destroy. We got everything situated in the background. So we have our first round here. Offense, Old Dominion flying over towards this A point right off the rip. Nobody putting the bomb down just yet. They want to make sure they can clear out the middle of the map. Prey is going to be the first line of contact here to cross over towards the bedroom side of things. And as the stun is going to go out and around the corner, nobody over towards B just yet. It's going to be T-Web who opens things up with a nice first blood. Beautiful for James Madison to continue their hot streak from map 1.
And to continue to go off the point you had made about letting T-Web play whatever position he wants uncontested, yeah, if you let him play plot like that and find a first blood and get out of his life, that's exactly what we're talking about. Sure, you're indirectly able to trade it out and find poker off the board, but unfortunately with that, your bomb carrier was pushed all the way up in hotel, so that's going to be a fun retrieval here in a few moments. Barring you can find these kills, but something you would like to have a response for, well, sooner than later in this first round, that doesn't look to be the case, but questionable first push out of Old Dominion, and boy, oh boy, James Madison are here in the search.
Must hit the leg artery there. One shot snipe to the legs. Gonna be able to take that player out. Ninja Noodles just gets down. The rest of the team can go ahead and live happy. James Madison on the board first. Their defense prevails. So it was aggressive over towards the A site. Would have loved Old Dominion maybe to try and get that bomb down just a bit faster. Maybe occupy the middle of the map just a touch more. But of course, you don't want to get overwhelmed on the A site when you're pushing it over there. So it's a little bit ticky-tacky. It's things you have to live with, but things that can be adjusted as the game moves forward. Bomb going to be working its way on offense this time for James Madison towards this same A site. And it's going to be that sniper out from T-Web that forces everybody to back off. This bomb will go down very, very quickly. It's a little bit of pressure in the middle of the map. The first blood goes to Old Dominion, but the bomb is down at 45 seconds.
And you already have Prey running through your back line. Surely should be shooting players in the back here in a moment, but before he can even find anyone, Noodles is able to collect 2, so suddenly a 4v1, and Prey, someone who could have been impactful had he found a few opening kills.
Oh, wait a second.
Now something to be considered, given that he finds those 2, now can play clock and try to play his life.
Oh, both of them are going to push together, though. This is the play to make if you are Old Dominion, but you give yourselves away, and now Prey can just turn back around and runs back away. He's playing the time here, finds the first, can't snap to the second. Ross should be able to get back over towards the bomb, and does in just the nick of time. But oh my, Prey gets that one close down in towards the end. Raw gives me a headache by spinning around in circles, and this search and destroy is tied up at 1 apiece.
Had Prey been able to find a player any sooner, even before Noodles had popped 2, that could have been a completely different round for James Madison University. Old Dominion play it well. They use their numbers to their advantage to try and play the trade and get a good response on the board. Now, offensively, we see their second attempt at it. You know they're going to play differently, given that you would hope, that they would play differently, given how effective T-Web has been playing with a sniper. We'll see what this break looks like, but again, that's what their points got to be playing around, is what lanes they have to push.
Static, close up. Gonna play the square this time. Jumps across, leaves the bomb in a precarious spot yet again, but it's Prey and T-Web who stack for 2. Giving James Madison the advantage, and now it's a 1 versus 4 here. Last player alive is Love, all the way in the back lines, over by P6. Excuse me, opposite side of the map. Excuse me, over by P2. As he snaps back to the middle of the map. Everybody's just trying to run him down.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. We'll be seeing ya.
Bye-bye.
2 rounds on the board for James Madison. And their defense, I mean, simply put, they take mid-map control. T-Web has connected both defensive rounds for first blood with the sniper. Old Dominion sure got aggressive towards A, but again, when you can't find a pick to give you any kind of comfortability around a site, gonna make things that much harder. Your bomb planner 2 offensive rounds in a row has also died well beyond the A bomb site, making it a near impossible retrieval for your teammates. Couple of glaring moments here for Old Dominion that you said could be adjusted, but have yet to see so far.
Oh, little B hit here, but a very aggressive hit towards the middle of the map from Old Dominion might be able to snuff this out and cause just a bit of damage to the push being made here on the offensive side of James Madison. The bomb has already worked its way up in towards the kitchen. Noodles in the back line. Both the doors are going to be open. Nade's going to force the back off. Stun check. Not going to be able to find anything just yet. And this bomb can get all the way back around over towards A in just a matter of seconds. You've already got the first blood in middle map. Poker's been able to cut one down. You're so far pushed back. You just need to be looking for where Static is.
And because you get over the B and now can transition back, you know Old Dominion's going to be making the same kind of foot race. You can catch them out of position on transition. Great wrap back, great call out of the dogs, and another 1v1 situation. I mean, pick a player and spin the wheel because it's another 1v3.
You're trying to find the isolated 1v1, but I love what they did there. Like, they forced the rotation on defense all the way back over towards B. And then before you know it, everybody else was at that A site. And I mean, Static made the right play. Like, he sat in the corner, he waited for that rotation all the way back. You know, maybe it's a ticky-tacky thing. I would have loved to see maybe just an extra second or two go off before he shot the guy that was going to go plant the bomb, because he had a wide open, you know, opportunity in line of sight to see him. Maybe try to find a second one there so you can snap for a double kill. But again, that also just comes down to if you're going to get the right timings, if anybody's going to push across that site, or they're just going to sit on the heck glitches back on bar. So, you know, nothing wrong with the play Static made there. It's just unfortunate he got left in a pretty terrible situation, regardless of the fact. 8-1 here from Prey to start things off on the opposite side for James Madison. 4 in a row, an 8 streak combined between 3 different players. Kelp hasn't done much in the way of kills just yet, but that really doesn't matter because his team's up 3-1.
And it's tough making an all-out 4 push towards the B site, because unless you find these kills quickly, you're not making noise at A. James Madison have an opportunity to quickly back towards the site, and sure, you're getting bombed down, but you would quickly be trapped in the site, depending on if Kelp is able to find a kill. So bomb planner does go down, kills start to come in. This is what I dislike about a 4-man push towards the site, because, again, you don't make any noise, you don't make the defense hesitate or second guess, and you get picked apart from there. Anyway, round over.
I mean, really, all it comes down to, first blood goes James Madison's way, and then everybody just flies back into the kitchen, wins the gunfights, and Poker pops the 2-piece for the end of the round. So, Bond wasn't able to go down. Old Dominion, they tried something new. It didn't work, but it's okay. Still time left here on the Search and Destroy to you know, keep testing different things, seeing if they're going to work. Again, James Madison, undefeated in the mode, but they're very good at Search and Destroy. They're very good, a well-rounded team. You know, if you're down 1-4, yes, you want to come back, you want to try and win this, you want to try and tie up the series, but this is where you really start to try your different strategies against a really good team, because you don't get much S&D practice unless it's in a real game mode. So, you know, do something wacky, do something weird. First blood goes to Noodles. Poker a trade, 3 versus 3, 4 in a row here from Poker still. The bomb's down today.
And I think the wacky and weird was Noodles with the sniper to get a first blood on T-Web, something that perhaps T-Web wasn't expecting as a challenge, maybe an AR down that line of sight. It ends up being a sniper, and he ends up paying for it. So now a 2v2 with bomb down. Gotta try to work some of these picks. Do you know someone's top bed? Poker picks up the sniper and is able to connect. So now a 2v1, now you've caught out Prey. Should be collapsing on this kill if his teammate ends up falling. Either way, squeaky clean, all good to go. Not unorthodox enough. James Madison 1 away from going up 2-0.
It's been clinical. Old Dominion have no answer for the first bloods coming out from James Madison, but the one round that they respond with the first blood of their own, they just lose 2 back-to-back lives. Noodles, after the first blood with the sniper, is rendered useless on the map. And everybody's just vying for position all the way down towards the end of the round, where James Madison's just making the right plays, sticking together, making sure that they have an availability to put 2 bodies on every one person that's pushing from Old Dominion, and it's just perfect all the way through. This time, slow push, not even hitting a bomb site directly. They're just waiting for a push to come out of James Madison, but Prey walks directly into the line of sight of Static. He'll fall. 0-6 here from Love so far. Hopefully he likes Krispy Kreme, because he's on a donut watch. Oh boy, he's joining the agency.
4v2. Team kill gonna be the only thing
In a row, by the way.
that can take a life off the board. 8 in a row. I mean, I don't know, the Bob Ross could paint a better picture for James Madison here.
Dude, type in team chat, AFK. Dude, he's AFK. Go get him. Chase him down. Get your eco frags. Go get him. Out the window. Raw not moving in the backline. Oh, he's starting to go. Oh, maybe got the pizza out of the oven, and it doesn't matter. Prey's going to put him down. GG on the Search and Destroy. Old Dominion not able to keep up with the high octane pace that James Madison had for him. Those dogs, they're a prattling.
Ooh, boy, oh boy. James Madison after it and then some, and again, doesn't get easier for Old Dominion, unfortunately. We didn't want to paint it all doom and gloom for them, but they never quite found the answer that we were hoping they could for JMU.
Yep.
And it's hard when a team is playing with that much tempo, that decisive. There was no hesitation in their play calls. It's very hard to find a counter for when you are simply stunned and stopped at every turn. So we'll go to an LSC low control where, I mean, sure, you're 2-1 across all of your modes for Old Dominion. So not that they have a clear favorite. They've lost close Search and Destroys, hard points, and controls respectively. They're actually, because I remember off the top of my head, their one loss was to Shenandoah in a 3-1 fashion on control. I'm not sure of the map, but maybe their most discrepant loss in a sense. You got to do it to kick off a reverse sweep. We are 0 for 1 on that being possible given our series tonight, and I just don't know that it's on the card for Old Dominion, mainly not because of what James Madison is doing, which is great, but even just to paint a picture towards Old Dominion, less that they've been able to make those adjustments and make those counters necessary. So they still have the ability to influence and make their mark on the series, but again, to me it starts with them. James Madison's playing very well and I can't take that away from them, but Old Dominion still have some kind of control they can take in the series, and we have just yet to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, you can look at the bottom and see where we've been in this best of 5 series so far. First map Hydro, second map Hotel, but it was the discrepancies in both of those modes along the score lines that really just paints the full picture of the story. Respawns in general for James Madison, they've looked really solid over the last few weeks, but they really honed things in on the Monday match that we saw with them against High Point. Now here against Old Dominion, they took the things that were working for them, they even further improved on those. In the Search and Destroy on Hotel that they got beat 0-6 on, they came back and they beat an opponent 6-1. So it just goes to show that even a quick turnaround from Monday to Wednesday can be a difference maker in a lot of series. And right now I just feel bad for Old Dominion because they're, you know, not only being at the expense of new things being tried out for this roster of James Madison, but now you're down backs against the wall going into Control, where you've lost a game so far and James Madison show no signs of slowing down, specifically in Respawn.
Absolutely the case. We talked about ODU having a potential identity crisis so far. Like I said, some good wins, some great wins even, and then some not so good losses. For them, it's trying to find footing not only in this division, in this league, and we were trying to talk about a key to success for them coming into this was try to find a mode you can create separation and find a mode where you can find success and have a standout performance. And I mean, through the first 2 maps, unfortunately haven't seen enough to say that either can be the case. Sure, you have the intention there of making the correct play, but again, it comes down to, are you able to execute it well? And with the James Madison team playing as well as they are, doesn't make it any easier. But as far as the things they can control are concerned, they were still dropping the ball on some of those things. So this Control will give us an idea of, okay, is this a mode they can start to see separation in? Is it one that they can take a round off of, or even send it to a round 5? I'm not sure, we'll have to see, but again, James Madison playing so well, ODU still have things within their power that could make this a closer series.
So let's talk about this El Asilo real quick, because going to this Control, I kind of want to talk about things from the side of Old Dominion for a second.
Yeah.
There were moments in the games where, even though there were very brief glimpses, things that can disrupt how James Madison likes to go about their play. One of those things is being able to get in and behind James Madison wherever you possibly can. Find yourself a ratty little flank angle, or just be able to just kind of play some off angles that maybe they're not going to completely expect. El Asilo allows you to do that to a T. You can get away with, you know, playing all the way up the field side and getting into the backside spawn building as they start to push over towards B. You can play the inside A bomb site building and then get back over towards the little courtyard there where the A site is actually planted at. But the one thing that they need to make absolutely sure of is they do not allow Poker or T-Web to set up out on top of the radio tower for that A site, because if they get their offense, defense, whatever it may be, they will get shut down from him unless they commit 2 to 3 bodies to that gunfight. And even then, I don't know if that'll be enough to cut them down with how good they have not only been in the series, but playing from that power position against teams like HPU.
Yeah, don't give them easy lines of sight to chow you from. That only makes it easier for JMU to chop you down, make it challenging. And like you said, an off angle doesn't even, an off angle can be as simple as, okay, a typical corner you would play and slide 2 feet to the right, where if someone jump chows that to pre in that corner, they miss the first couple of bullets. Anything you can do to try to garner yourself an advantage, go for it. But again, you talk about it not being easy to try to counter a player or stop them completely. Sure, you're not going to mitigate the effects of T-Web to a T, and he's going to sit 0-17 in the Control. But again, you can do things to not give him the easiest of kills around the map. If he's on a power position, don't take that lane. Find a righty angle to close distance and find a way to make that gunfight easier for yourself. If you have to take 2-3 bodies, all 4 to bully out one site, understand that that is the point that you're at in the series, where prioritize things. If you are getting cut down and not able to get a lane to A on offense because T-Web is simply sitting cell tower and mowing you down,
sure,
find a way to get that taken care of and then take care of what's in front of you next. Just prioritize your problems, make decisive calls as a squad, and see where that puts you at the end of this Control. But again, those are things in your power that you can do to make things not only easier for yourself, but in turn harder for James Madison.
Yeah, I go back to that first hard point, and you know, it's really only will we have to go on inside of this series to give us a clear-cut picture or somewhat of an idea of what we'll be seeing going into the control, just another respawn mode. It was the lack of any one person on Old Dominion being able to have an outstanding performance in the respawn. Nobody caught my eye. Nobody was, you know, just like trying to keep the slang up to a high extent. It just seemed like it just kind of fell flat on its face, and they just smashed their face into the pavement on the realest of notes. And I don't know how you remedy that. I don't know what the kickstart or catalyst for that is going to be. Obviously winning gunfights is a great and easy answer, but that's a cop-out answer. I just need to see somebody get a hot hand, and then that be what forces the change and rallies the troops. So down in the middle of the map, it's Prey who already walks away with the first gunfight, and there's a second one that goes their way as well. They're starting out on defense, and Prey, well, he's already got 3 to start out the round with his teammate helping out. Oh boy.
You talked about it. The opportunity that you have for Old Dominion to slip the net, maybe get behind players, is definitely on the docket. Why? Because James Madison plays so fast and in your face that you can find those timings and those openings to get behind them. Sure, it won't be easy to capitalize on opportunities like that, but again, it does present itself, and where it does, you need to find a way to take advantage. I mean, you can tell how slowly they're trying to creep up this field side. They really want to stress the importance of working these picks. Any kind of progress that be is good progress. They're spawning out for now, but 1 or 2 fronts may be something that flips the decision for James Madison.
Sticker progress working its way over at B. Noodles will be on the zone, but the contestation will be in. Prey's going to be able to snap to 1, tries to go for number 2, but there's still going to be a body up and towards the top of the window. He wins that. I'm not going to finish that thought because it would have got a little dodgy. Static out the back line. Poker, Prey going to go ahead and combine for 2. That B zone seems to be where they wanted to push, at least initially. It's going to have to be back over towards it. They got 3 bodies there, all of James Madison over at this B zone, but that first bit of progress will come. And now the clock will be stopped over at A.
And with this transition back, you give JMU an opening to, again, get through the back, help on a flank as the timing to be able to push these players in the back. Why? Because they're coming off spawn, or they can't get off this A site, so now Kelp's just going to kill you off spawn, not let you get a chance for any reinforcements, and Prey's going to collapse on the site. Sure doesn't find the kill there, but you know someone will be on the trade. 10 seconds into dwindling, you got to win a couple gunfights and then some to even secure this point. Anything less than that won't be good enough, and JMU would walk away with round 1 win, but for now, you are doing everything you can to get this lead.
7 seconds left. Prey onto the zone. They're still back over at B. There's 2 players here. Love, the last one alive here, was on Donut Watch early on in this game. Will finally get himself on the board. This is the first kill that he's gotten in a round of control, as well as the entirety of the search and destroy. I don't mean to put a damper on it, but that's just the way things go, and you have to point out losses when they're happening. Noodle's trying to push it up. They're trying to capture this B zone to the best of their abilities. Help is here, and they are going to be able to get at least a little bit of support from the back lines. James Madison with a 4-life lead in terms of the advantage of life count, but I mean, realistically, Cash, this round's not over. They still have a good chance to get back out of A.
Absolutely not. Noodles finds 2 big kills there, and again, sure, it doesn't amount to the flashes of score lines in this first round, but again, that's a play you can circle and say that is a positive to take, trusting your teammates to look over you. Now you're making a flank as a team to push over towards A. A 4 down could put you in a great position here. These gunfights are going to be everything.
Prey, teammate up top from Webb. Will this allow Old Dominion to be able to capture the entirety of the A zone? 1 versus 1 gunfight on the point. T-Web will drop shot, win it, and guess who's up on the radio tower? It's Poker. I said you cannot let him get into this position, and this is the reason why. You see, Love has to lay down. He can't push out towards the field. He can't take a different angle around towards this hill, either at this A zone. And with 2 ticks of progress left, it's only Love last alive in a 1 versus 8. We've seen crazy things happen, but it's not going to happen this time. We'll say sayonara to this round, partner. Prey from behind is going to be able to cut you down. 1-0 up in the control is James Madison with the first defense going their way.
Positive still to be taken for Old Dominion from that round. Sure, they got 4 ticks of progress on the board. That is a good thing. And again, they played it scrappy to where James Madison never got a clean setup at either site, and that's because they were applying pressure at both. So good takeaways for them. And then for JMU, of course, where they find their bread and butter is their ARs and power positions. They're simply able to play around those kills. Prey out to 13-4 as well, but the slaying a little lopsided to start. But again, 1 big explosive play could rally you back into this one. Old Dominion, what do you have defensively?
Nate over the top. We'll get anybody off of that little roof area that could be out and overlooking the point. Prey will get up in towards the corner, waiting for Dead Silence to maybe make his move up, but Love will crack the door open, wait for an opportunity to hop on out over towards the point, and this is going to be the opening that he needed. Snaps to the first one, second one on the head glitch. Pope will be able to go ahead and find the kill, but it's Raw there for a trade, so it's 28-28, 2 lives taken off from each team. It's very discombobulated around the map as everybody. It's basically a 2-2 split with everybody playing duos.
Oh, well, and to make matters worse, T-Web is playing Hill specifically to push spawns out. Sure, you're aware of that if you're Noodles and you're trying to sniff out this kill with player 1 as well, but again, until you find this kill, this is a resource you're going to have to dedicate towards the side of the map. The nade does connect, things are cleared out, but you turn back into a pre-aim on the B side, and that's a tick and a half of progress. Kelp going to give up his position on B. Why? Because they're putting pressure and know the influence of players spawning out. James Madison, sound on the play calls.
Love. This is your moment, and it's shot down dead in front of you. Prey gonna, I mean, that was like the moment to like have like a 2-3 piece on the backside, get a good flank for your team, really give yourselves the life advantage, and it just doesn't really work out all that well. But with 35 seconds left in the round, no significant advantage over on the A site. B site now going to get dwindled down slowly. It is going to be Prey down below, who's on 5 in a row, dangerously close to earning some utility here. A cruise missile would be amazing, but with a nade over the top from Raw and a couple more players around the back, it's going to be utility for James Madison. A push over towards the B site, and the arrows coming off the spawn side from the deep left portion of the mini-map.
Well, you've done so well to keep lives manageable here. You're going to give up the B site and set up for A. You'd like to see Raw starting to get up there. A player in a power position. Now they're going to chop off as many lives as they can here on transition. Still spawning close as well, but again, keeping these lives manageable is going to be everything here.
You look to Prey, trying to get onto the zone with his teammate, and he will. Oh boy. Oh, you thought snaking was bad. Wait until you get into a spot like that. 3 kills go the way of Old Dominion. First tick of progress on A, not going to be there just yet. And instead of clearing the zone, what do? They force out the spawn side. I love this. Make sure that you're wasting the time that James Madison has to get back over towards this A point. Dwindle down their lives at a consistent pace. But again, don't let Poker or T-Web get over towards radio side or get into a position where they can be very, very, very deadly.
A life advantage in this one. Again, the Monarchs playing it very, very well here. Like you said, bleeding clock, bleeding lives, 30 seconds left, and they've got to make a commitment and go 3 down. Sure, the time is stocked, but you know last player is going to be on time. You're going to put emphasis on cutting these players off spawn, giving it that much harder of an opportunity to get back over. They need to find form quickly, though, because this push is on.
There's that first blood that they needed, though. Now they can start making their way up the map. Poker, AR, out towards the left side. We'll be able to find one. Noodle's the last one remaining inside of the hill. It's a 2 versus 1 here. He'll get shut down inside of the hill, and that'll stop the time in 11.5 seconds. Reinforcements will be here from James Madison, making their way towards the point. Old Dominion are going to be here, but the stack is on. You have to fly in towards this point if you want to make sure they can't cap it, but it's getting dangerously close to getting all the way through. 2 almost all the way in, but Love is going to be there. Another one in. Poker, can you jump back around? Oh, Poker, baby! Oh, what are you doing to me? It's hot and heavy here on us, El Asilo. 2-0 up is James Madison.
Great control round behind the play of Poker, who not having the flashiest of controls, but the snappiest of shots. There to secure the round for the team. As you said, they find themselves on map point, on series point here on the back of what monster play from a monster player.
Things you absolutely love to see if you're a fan of James Madison. If you're on the opposite side, you are shaking your head. Not happy about that one. I don't think most people would be. Regardless of the fact, though, guess where Poker's going? Yep, out towards the radio tower. Trying to get the information and positioning on this A site. Old Dominion on an offense. This is their last chance to keep this series alive. It's been a lopsided affair where James Madison have had the control and the advantage throughout the entirety of the first 2 maps, and here in map number 3, everything looks to remain the same. 3 lives go down. You're looking for a clean opening break, and that'll be it. The 4th one will fall. Noodles will be there, and in the back line, here it is. Prey should be here around the corner. Kelp. Hey, find Noodles. There you go, buddy.
Jeez. I mean, a clinic at this point. Prey up to a quiet 20-7 that we haven't quite given its flowers to. I mean, had a great opening start, and of course hasn't slowed down since. T-Web finds streaks there, so if things get dicey, you call that in. I mean, this one feels all but signed, sealed, delivered. You've been in basically a spawn trap for the entirety of the round, barring a big pop-off play, which really Noodles has been kind of the only one to provide. This one, not going to be looking good for you.
Only 25 seconds left here in the round. You haven't stopped the clock yet. You're just trying to find some sort of positioning here towards the middle of the A building. But as Raw hops out on towards the point, his teammates there with him. You have a couple that can stack this point and stop the progress while also making sure you try to add an extra minute onto the clock. 6 lives between the two teams. Now make it 7 once again. There was a buffer. Second tick of progress at A. Clock still stopped. Player still there.
A couple seconds from this progress being committed. Help, gonna jump on for a moment, maybe try to find some kills. We're all gonna take care of it. So A will be captured, and sure, there'll be another minute on the clock. The problem for me is gonna be lives, right? A 7 life discrepancy. You only have 14 left. You have 3 clean team pushes at the site. So whether it be the time that comes into effect sooner than later, or the lives, for Old Dominion, definitely shooting themselves in the foot with how many resources they had to give to A.
Now, I'm not a genius here, nor do I claim to be an expert. However, 9 and 22 and 9 and 15 are not going to be clear-cut ways to help out your team when you're talking about control, when lives actually mean a great lump sum in the grand scheme of things, and might actually matter towards the end of this round here as well. 9 lives remaining on Old Dominion. Time dwindling down for them to get back over towards B. Everybody on James Madison continuing to pick up the kills where they need them the most. T-Web onto Static. Raw a trade. He can get back out over towards the site, but he's at the kegs right now, just waiting patiently for the respawns to come back in. But as this is happening, you're losing precious time.
And sure, a 4 down is still possible, and a 4 down could still win you this game. Unfortunately, neither of which coming in. It's going to be 2 down. Sure, you'll combine for a couple, but it's 3 for 2 in the feed numbers game, constantly favoring James Madison. And with that, well, what I thought was going to be final kill, this truly is your last push. And hey, called it earlier, the streak's coming down.
4 lives remaining. Last push. T-Web, cruise missile, double kill, 1 versus 14. Noodles nowhere close to the point. James Madison, just like St. Clair, will stay undefeated here in the Star League. Week 4 has come and gone. We have 2 more teams at the top of the pedestal that will continue to march forward.
Another convincing win out of James Madison University to continue to put themselves a leg up on the competition here in their division, remain undefeated across all modes, and well, in a very dominant fashion. I mean, having a look at the bottom of your screen, right? A 60-point club, only 1 round given up in the S&D, and flawless control. You can't ask for a much better day in the office if you're JMU.
No.
Very, very good work out of them tonight.
Absolutely. JMU look very, very good, continuing their hot winning streak that they have, again, throughout multiple collegiate leagues. So congratulations to them. While we step aside, we'll get an interview ready, set up with the winning team. So somebody from James Madison will be joining us. Not exactly sure just yet who it's going to be, but we will have them on the other side of a break. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk with the winning team. And then after that, we've got a little bit of Valorant coming your way. So stay tuned for the Naystar League. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back, folks. Interview time here with the side of James Madison. We have Prey joining us here. Prey, once and first and foremost, congratulations on the win. It was a fun series to watch. Maybe not the most competitive series I've ever seen, but it definitely was a series for sure. Just talking about the team in general, coming off the win against High Point earlier on in the week, and some of the other matches that you guys have had throughout the year, you've looked really, really solid. I think aspirations towards the end of the year are going to be high. What's kind of the cog that keeps this team turning?
I think it's definitely team chemistry. I mean, last season we unfortunately didn't have T-Web on our team. He was studying abroad, so we knew going into this year it was going to be the most potential for having a great season, and so far we're performing when we need to.
Yeah, definitely so. And for you guys, I mean, it was, as you had said, Alex, a very dominant series. What's the mentality coming off of a series win like this where, you know, it felt like you guys were in cruise control? Do you still go back and make sure, hey, there are points that got exploited that we need to tighten up? Or is it one where maybe you're brushing off to the wayside and focusing up for next week?
I think it's definitely something we go back, especially our controls. I think our controls have been looking very sloppy overall. I mean, we got the one against High Point, but that was just honestly clutch up. I mean, it wasn't really us playing good on the map. Our search and destroy looked way better. We went over that VOD against High Point. We got destroyed in that hotel S&D against them, and we've really looked a lot better today. We performed better. So just definitely looking back on that control, I think, against ODU. But besides that, I think we were pretty much on cruise control the whole series.
Definitely, and that's something that even Corn had brought up about seeing. Obviously, got to see you guys play Monday, and now was really interested for the Hotel S&D. So to see those improvements being made and it reflect in the fashion it did is definitely something that is a good point to bode well for your team. But he talked about a little bit and asked you kind of those high aspirations for the playoffs. Is there any game you have circled left on the calendar for you before we get into the postseason for Nace specifically, or is it one where hey, every match matters and we'll get to playoffs when we get there?
I think definitely making a big upset, maybe like a Mars Hill. I mean, that team has been looking incredible so far. I mean, they look good overall. I mean, all their players play in challengers. Yeah. I think it's definitely a team that, if we can perform against them, I think it really sets that tone for like, we're not only are we playing good, but we can compete with the best. I mean,
absolutely,
definitely top 5 in my opinion.
Hey, I mean, regardless of that fact, you know, like, again, confidence is absolutely key. And, you know, I do think that you guys are genuinely a top roster within the collegiate scene this year. I guess my final question for you is, you know, with everybody kind of counting you out automatically before the season even started, do you guys have like a sense of an underdog feel to this team that you're trying to almost make into a Cinderella story?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, going into, I wasn't here last season for CCL, but I know they didn't perform too well last year. But coming into it and making noise at the end of Vanguard, me joining the team, and then now T-Web joining back, I think we've really had the mindset that we're underdogs, and no one's really expecting us to win these series, and we just end up clutching up. So I think we definitely want to push that towards the postseason, and our goal is always to get to that LAN. I think that's most teams circle, like at least make the LAN for CCL. So that's definitely our goal for sure.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations on the win. It'll be fun to watch you guys grow and continuously complete your journey throughout the rest of the collegiate year. So I'm sure we'll probably talk again at some point throughout the rest of the year. So until that point, have some fun, and hey, bro, hopefully you make it to the LAN.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, well, that is going to do it for the Call of Duty portion of the broadcast. Cash, before we send it to a break and into Valorant, any closing thoughts for what we saw today?
Yeah, just very stout competition. One that, again, it makes me more and more excited for playoffs as we get into the back half of the regular season. It's do or die time for a lot of these teams, and for others, it is expanding the map pool, tightening up on all of your already good modes, because, well, could you imagine a St. Clair and a JMU matchup in the postseason? That's something definitely I could see on the docket, but either way, lots to talk about for these teams going into their next week of matchups, and lots more great COD to be played.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, no more COD for the rest of week number 4. However, we will be back here same time next week for week 5 of the NACE Star League's Modern Warfare 2 Varsity League. Until then, though, we are going to send things to a break. When we come back, we've got a doozy of a matchup. We've got Kansas State and Stony Brook going at it in a little bit of Valorant. So we'll have some new casters joining, some new faces, and of course, a change of pace. So until next week, when we see you back here for Call of Duty, enjoy some Valorant. We'll see you after a break.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Nate's Star League. This time it's Valorant. The homies over at Call of Duty wrapped things up in a beautiful bow. A clean sweep to finish things up, but I don't think we're going to find one here because we have such a heated debate between these two collegiate teams. To break it all down, my name is Los, joined by the lovely Vincent.
How's it going, man? I'm freaking excited for tonight. You know I love me some Kennesaw State. A little bit of bias showing, but listen,
I got my own bias, man.
I know you do. I'll let you get to it, but I gotta rep hometown Kennesaw State. I do like to watch them. On the other side, Stony Brook University. We know what you're about.
There it is, the State University of New York. Stony Brook University gotta represent the SUNY system. Go Hawks. New Paltz represent. They don't have an esports program, but regardless, the state is good enough. We have seen a lot of this team. In fact, they made it all the way to the finals of the fall semester where they had a beautiful run and only to end up against Northwood. And if you're in front of Northwood, it's no fun. It was a 2-0, but this is still a banging team.
That's true. We saw Northwood last week, unfortunately missing out on you, but Sepulence and I, we witnessed some more Northwood. It was, I think we only saw like 3 rounds go the way of the opposition, total over 2 maps. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. Kennesaw State, they had some changes, didn't get to quite talk a little bit about those, but a little bit of changes from their previous semester's roster into this semester, so I'm excited to kind of see what they have to offer. Looks like we're going to be seeing a little bit more Lotus. It's a Lotus kind of week for us, isn't it?
I'm enjoying the Lotus. I'm a Lotus learner, not quite a lover yet. We're still working out the kinks, and we'll follow that up by Icebox and an Ascent if we need it. Lotus has honestly been a popular pick these days, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think honestly, it really just goes to show that, you know, the need for some change, particularly Bind, especially kind of going out of the pool. I think people were looking for a little bit of that change, and honestly, I'm loving the fact that we're seeing that come through. Icebox, you know how I feel about it, Los. Not my favorite, but I will accept that, listen, Kennesaw, they've been good on there before, and I think that's why we're seeing it once again. And of course, we can't have a collegiate match without Ascent coming in at some point. So we're going to be having Ascent there on the last map, should it be necessary. But, I mean, listen, Stony Brook, I mean, they got to be the favorites, right?
I mean, they've done such a good job in building a name for themselves in the collegiate space. 2 names that we're definitely going to bring up from Stony Brook is Ken and Tim. Both these players with previous experience over on Lycus Empire, they've got that T2 pressure, that presence that we've seen in the past, and there are definitely some players to look out for in this upcoming matchup.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think that's what's so much fun. It sort of is that like conversation of Kenji and Tim. We pretty much kind of went through, are they going to be enough to carry Stony Brook over the edge in in the final last semester? Well, they weren't quite there, though pretty much no one is there against Northwood. We talked about it last week. Literal world champions in the collegiate space, kind of hard to go up against. Kennesaw State, on the other hand, you know what? This is a realistic, a very beatable team. And honestly, I gotta say, Los, I know it's gonna make you happy, and it's kind of sad that I have to say this. I think Stony Brook probably takes this.
We'll see what the Seawolves have to offer. I'm looking at Dagon. They are no slouch when it comes to their duelist capabilities, so them going up against Kenji, that's going to be an interesting battle. I'm excited to see. I'm also really enjoying the diversity of controllers that we have on this map.
No Harbor tonight. We saw some last time out on Lotus, so there is a little bit of a disappointment there for me personally, but yeah, I gotta agree. The difference between going for sort of that double controller with that idea, but then single controller going with the Omen. I think both sides are valid in this thought process. We did see some crazy Viper play on Lotus the last time you and I saw it, so I'm excited to see what this Viper has to offer for Stony Brook.
Yeah, there are so many choke points that could be held off with a simple orb. I mean, looking at C main, making an attempt to get in there is going to be pretty difficult. But the approach comes out to A, and it'll be a slow one considering a pistol round. There's no rush needed for Kennesaw State, and no reason to have that. Dagon leading the charge, or at least leading this peak, because no one's ready to fight.
Yeah, no even skirmishes just yet. At this point, Kennesaw State just spreading themselves out a little bit further. Felt like they had initially planned to go towards this A side, but the plan may have changed, Los. Adjustments, the spike towards B entrance here. And look at this rotation. This setup might be very good for the defense.
Interesting, they're playing with such little information. Here comes an Kenji from heaven. Will continue to put in and pepper some shots out. They don't have to worry about anything. The smoke actually provides cover. Playing for the anti-flash, they'll lose their life. As KSU break their way onto site, but it's Huji out from the back, dropping things down, leaving Ryan in a 1v2. But there could be a good Nano Swarm to force their hand. Go in for a peek onto Ethan. It's good for one, and the Nano Swarm finishes off Huji.
Oh man, Ryan, following that, how do you figure it out? Must be you. It looked good. I thought they had a timing there, but Ryan just a little bit too strong, a little bit too swift. Particularly that Nano Swarm placement working so wondrously. Going to push them up to the early stages, take the victory in the pistol, but it's not all gone. I'm trying to look. Doesn't appear to me that we're going to see a full eco. I see some sheriffs. What appears to be some sheriffs at the very least.
I like the appearance of a sheriff. Who knows what it could be?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wasn't sure, but it appears to be a sheriff. Am I wrong?
It seems it appears you're correct, I believe.
Thank you.
Nice flash, but Oji and Tim.
Okay.
The Tim's going on a 3K right now. Beezer, they thought they were in the power position. Not quite the case. Pop flash just for some safety, but playing over that mound. It has been Tim who has mounted the horse that is riding away the Seawolves. I don't know how they just came out of that one.
I don't know either. I mean, Tim just kind of walked away with, or he frags on the sheriff, and Uchi as well, having some big moments there, just turning the tide. As Stony Brook taking what was a Kennesaw State victory, a solid one at that. You know, you think, oh, maybe this is where they can just turn the tide. No, Stony Brook, they have regained control. And this is not the area you want to be in. Look at how long range of a duel this could be with sheriffs in hand. Kennesaw State gonna maybe have trouble.
Dig in. Going on further, interesting with all the utility and shots that were expended, it's not going to be a stronger presence by B and Door. Maybe it's because the smoke is there. There's that looming threat. The what if there's danger. They're playing around some mind games here from Stony Brook.
Kennesaw State, not quite ready to make a commitment just yet, but that dark cover will make them at least have maybe a bit of a chance to rotate, to adjust. Oh, Sable going to connect on one player who's trying to get out. It's all falling apart. Loster's 3 alive, and Kennesaw State, they're split up.
You know, Huji has a lot of time on their hands as after that previous round, nobody wants to make an attempt towards C. A little bit of a rotation here to B. Once this toxic screen falls, sure, they'll have some pistols looking at it, but Tim's not giving up any information, and that's the spike as well.
No charges.
Comes Duper. Able to connect that one, but nothing else. A little bit of a bait with the gravity well. Duper wasn't sure if they wanted to go for that. SMG, pick it up, make a conversion, and try and fight something out with the rest of the round, but a little bit more of a standard anti-eco. A few kills here and there, but SU, bit of a struggle bus.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what do you really expect in a round like that one? it's not always going to work in the favor like Stony Brook was able to do, but that was a more traditional safe round. They didn't go for those 4 spies. They didn't go for the additional armor to back up those sheriffs, and that means Vandals in hand. In this all state, they're working with guns, so chances as Real has gone back to what has to be maybe a little bit of a scary place for Kennesaw at this point.
Just some peppers, some wall fires, attempting to break on through, but we haven't had an opportunity to see what the base site play is going to be. Tim's got that Viper's Pit at the ready, and we haven't had an opportunity to see what the execute would be on this site, and I don't think we're going to. Majority of the force is over by A main, however, they're backing up. Perhaps some confidence is building on the mound.
I think at this point, Kennesaw State, they're hoping that somebody's going to take a fight. Well, Huji certainly does, but it's not the outcome that KSU were looking for. Looked so easy when Huji just swings and finds the one headshot required to put it into a 5-on-4. Now KSU, they're grouped up. They are headed towards C.
This is going to be a problem. Look at all of that utility.
30 seconds left.
KSU sees it. But what's the plan going to be? Bot destroyed, as well as some Neto, but...
No.
Oh my god, Huji! The utility king in this moment. Single-handedly defending this spot with the utility, as well as Tim putting in the work. There's no chance for them to even execute on the site. They have to save
10
this.
seconds left.
Huji, more like who needs guns, am I right? Just put down the nanoswarms. That's just like 4th nanoswarm kill, I think.
Ooh, jeez. Come on now, man. and KSU, they waited so long. And it seems that Huji's thinking, okay, you guys want to wait around? I'll play the round for you and makes those picks, that peek onto mound to find that opening kill. That just ruined their whole momentum, their whole idea of getting into this site. And that's just a confidence destroyer.
I mean, not only the utility situation, but it's kind of funny because it feels so far back. But remember how that whole round opened up? Fuji just like one-tapping Real for free at the mound. I mean, come on, man. It feels like unattainable. I think that's the right word. Feels unattainable for KSU. And look at how much space being taken by Tim.
What can you do about that? Not much. Here comes the door. Real with a fault line, hoping for something, but they are going to be bombarded as well. Angie doesn't need to make that maneuver. In fact, it's all about bullying at this point. They don't have to push into the spawn. They're just abusing the fact that they can.
Yeah, it really is just about wanting to show how dominant they can be. That's be you. 5 survive. It's just the 2 for Kennesaw State. The Spike disparate from his teammate as well. Especially for the time being. Look at how this Raze is cutting off that rotation, at least to a certain extent. I don't think... Oh boy.
Fault line. That's it. Bees are almost able to remove Tim. But there's no chance. It's a flawless. It's 4-1 right now. This is demonic from the Seawolves. A beautiful showing so far, and we're back at the bottom of the barrel in terms of economy. KSU don't have too much to work with, and it has to be this round to bring it back, and rightfully so. We're getting a timeout.
Yeah, and you know what? I think a great timing for timeout, Los. 4-1. You are struggling, and it's not about the scoreline so much as the manner in which it's happened. Both gun rounds have looked, if I'm being really quite honest, one-sided. It's really not been particularly close. And so it's time to think about things. Try to figure out what's going to go, how you can adjust and how to figure that out. So 1 round, that's all they had, and that was the pistol.
And it came down to a simple clutch play from Ryan being able to manipulate the Nano Swarm as well as the turret. That's how they won it out. In reality, a proper swing off of Stony Brook could have won them the round, but they haven't been able to have great moments such as that to take B site or any site. And I'm hoping that with a wide amount of ultimates that they are so close to be earning, This can allow them to formulate a big, strong execute. Think about it. A showstopper, as well as that null command, as well as the Earth Shatter. It's the Earth Shatter, the Rolling Thunder. My God. Queued up Overwatch a little bit earlier today.
Yeah, I got Overwatch on the brain. We've all been there. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And you know what's even crazier, though, Los? Since that round, Ryan, alongside the rest of the team, he's still up at the top of the scoreboard, but he's yet to pick up anything since then. And that's really not a knock on Ryan. It's more just a note on how rough it's been for Kennesaw as a whole.
Right, you are. Okay, a 1-for-1. That does work in the favor, I believe, of Kennesaw. Removing the smokes. I mean, sure, you got the Astra Nebulas, but it's going to make C sites just a bit easier. As that Viper, the Orb, the vulnerability, the snake bites, that's what made C-Side such an impossibility to attack. And this is their moment. Duper sending out the smokes. Finally, the paranoia. Ethan doesn't have a chance to get away. What is this placement of the Shrouded Step? It actually works out, but Duper is only good for one. Huji stands strong. They're alone in the 1v3. Creeping around, hoping for some safety, but Real denies that possibility.
Real getting some return fire. It's got to feel good. Because now he's further able to hold off said rotation from Kinji through the doors towards B. Big retake moment here for SBU. But defensively, Kennesaw, they've got the null command. They've got the rolling thunder. They have the tools at their disposal to deny this retake.
They go placing off some nebulas. What's the move going to be? Kenji locked off from the nano swarms, separating, dividing, and conquering. Beezer lock out the final 2 frags. They're able to put a second on the board, and I have to say I'm impressed with the turn-in behavior from this team.
Yeah, the turnaround there, that round specifically, they take the timeout, and they instantly were able to maneuver themselves into a victory. And let's kind of recollect the thoughts on how that actually happened. Kennesaw State doing a really good job of taking a pause after that opening pick, making sure that SBU reset the positioning, and then following that up with a pretty consistent push. And, you know, lots of risks taken in that push with regard to the Omen especially. You know, aggressive play walking into that nanoswarm, but as you mentioned, it works out.
Ryan, another opener, another smoke lost. Great beginnings from this team. Able to take these opening kills and walk away from it. Don't go for extended fights. Play your life. Ensure that you will always be in that advantageous position. Another hit to B seems to be on the cards, but it's a slow one. A slow burn at that, especially you're out after a sight beyond that toxic screen.
Well, so you and I were talking about how this B side is so tough to hang on to. Getting on it is tough in and of itself, but hanging on to it in a defense of a retake, even more difficult. Looks like they are headed that way, but they have all of these ultimates, and that's going to allow them to make the entry.
What a piece of timing that is. Dagon taking the platform, and I'm loving this. This is such a swift execute. It will be a lockdown from SBU, but oh my god, it's not even the lockdown that's necessary. They were trying to destroy it and get aggressive. Tim was right there, waiting in the wings, earning that kill, but it's one right back at you, up from the platform. It's a lockdown as well. The Aftershock doesn't hit it. It has to be a defusal attempt. No, the showstopper will stop it, and it was also a use of that Viper's Pit. How many ultimates are going to be spent on this round?
Seems like pretty much everything that could be put forth. Kinji, no time remaining, has to give it up at this point to allow Kennesaw State a third. And you know what? I think a valid question at the beginning of that hit. How do you hang on to this B side? It's tough. Well, the answer is you invest it all. 4 ultimates at the beginning of this for Kennesaw State. It's just 1 remaining, but Stony Brook, they invested heavily themselves. As mentioned, the Viper's Pit, a lockdown. It was not cheap, and a loss at the end of the day gotta hurt the long-term economy, but not broken, not just yet. Stony Brook still have weaponry at hand, and that's how dominant those first 3 rounds were that SBU were able to pick up. Los, so dominant that they've been able to buy 3 times in a row.
Really speaks to that early gameplay that we see. Now Kenji attempting to relive the glory days, somehow stayed long enough to send return fire, but they will not be able to escape. This is a nice opening skirmish, but both teams are starting to cool down, bring it back. However, we have an aggressive move down on B. It's Ethan and Tim.
Just about to say, look at how fast they responded to losing that area by taking this space.
Oh, Ethan didn't need to do much on that one. Secure a kill and retreat. The guerrilla warfare has returned. KSU taking some damage, but they aren't broken. They aren't defeated. In fact, A is theirs for the taking. Ryan will have to make a game time decision to see how far they're willing to go up to secure a kill. It won't be that far. Smoke placed. Spike not initiated.
No, they're terrified. They're expecting somebody to be here, Los, but SBU intelligently has fallen all the way back. They play in together. They don't want to give up free frags, and none will be had. KSU, just 2 remain.
Tim on the flank as well. Sable, a shot from up top, leaving Duper down to 55 HP. They're hit with the paranoia, but there's not much they'll be able to do. It's a 1-on-3. Unless magic can be made, a flash from Ethan should seal the deal. And after a couple of hurtful rounds that KSU was able to take, finally, Stony Brook will be back on top.
And they didn't even need to invest the ultimates that they had just now gathered. You know, the Showstopper, talking Rolling Thunder. They didn't need them. They didn't have to pull those out. KSU, I thought they played that round incredibly well. SBU just played it a little bit better. And that's what's so good about the Stony Brook team. They don't give things away for free. As soon as they find that there's aggression towards A, they push up towards B, find the pick, fall back, and evacuate the A site so that they're still playing with the 4v3 advantage on the retake.
One suppressed.
That attack and retreat. The flash and fall back. Wonderful stuff. Tim no longer able to earn that first kill. Huji brings in some pain, but look at that, 5 HP. They won't be able to survive for much longer. If things go the way of KSU, especially a single bullet, maybe even a boombot's all they need, but they'd have to get across onto site. The nanoswarms have always been an issue when it comes to taking this site. This time, there won't be any direct contact. Ethan with the Rolling Thunder waiting for the perfect moment. And the second he hears the spike initiation, that's going to be it.
Oh, but they could pull the null command. They could deny that. No, not going to happen.
Oh boy, Real wanted to get ahead of the action and take things a little aggressive on the link. Unfortunately, they walked right into that ultimate and were dealt with handily. Another win for SBU, and I believe that was only off the back of the singular Rolling Thunder. Some early aggressive looks down on C main actually gave them every piece they needed.
Can't forget the Showstopper. That did come through as well, but honestly, not that big a deal for a round victory, for confirming number 6. And it does a little bit more than that, in that we saw KSU invest heavily into getting themselves onto the C site. Now, it seems it might be a little more tentative going that direction in the future. It'll be 3 of the 5 players for KSU heading towards B. Lots of spamming happening in this area, trying to telegraph that this is where they'll be headed.
Good readings on the turrets. Moving that early on is a key part of looking for information without costing yourself a position being revealed. So we have Real here, prodding for information. There's 3 players that can be called to action at a moment's notice, but the main focus of attention should be at A. There's 4 players maneuvering their way up through main, and it's going to be up to Kenji to try and stop them, but Arumba forces them out.
And the null command's going to be thrown in. That should push back these players on the site. No, Sable sticks around. Only good for the 1, but that's still just a 4-on-4. And these are putting the spike down. Unfortunately, that null command expires. And now, KSU in a bit of a rough spot.
Comes to Beezer. That's the first point of contact from stairs. Question will be, oh, Beezer is outmaneuvered themselves and removes Kenji. staying alive and playing their life. Ryan expecting a flank, but none will come. It's up to this KO, able to take down 3 before they fall. Ethan pursuing the other breach, and they will find victory. And a frag. It comes to a 2-on-2. Flash from Ethan. Checking both angles. They have to secure a plant right now, but time is whittling down. Duper, the last one alive, knows that there shouldn't be enough time, and I think that may be enough a distraction. Huji could not get a half, and Huji could not get a win.
Man, Huji, what great connections, though. Those shots really looking good, but KSU playing the time game perfectly. Did a wonderful job at denying SBU time to actually commit to some of those fights. They were playing trades beautifully to ensure a victory. A hard-fought one at that, and it's so hard-fought that it's forced KSU onto a little bit of a worse purchase because of it. A Guardian in the hands of Ryan, a Bulldog, another Guardian being purchased up. It's not ideal. As particularly now, Kennesaw work with nothing in the ultimate belt.
Ethan in a huge moment, able to survive out of this one. If they can take a second, that would be critical. Flashpoint, everything, and the kitchen sink for them just to survive, and they will! How does Shen come out with another double to close it out? That was such an annoying way to lose, but SBU, they got knocked down, and they were mad. Huji said, don't you dare let them get another one.
Bro, the bait and switch maneuver right there is so ridiculous. As mentioned, Ethan hitting him with literally everything, and then Tim Schwang dangles himself around the corner and finds both of those frags. So easy. Stony Brook, I don't think that was even the plan initially, but the communication in the real time allowed that to come through. It's Tim, more aggression, the initial swing, just poking his head out for information.
Now look at this, bare bones. They were playing with weak weapons just to try and get a second round in a row. Now they're beaten back. They're just working with stones at this point. They're throwing rocks at the Sea Wolves, hoping for a kill. And it could come. We've seen magic happen with the Sheriffs earlier in this half.
That we have, but, I mean, they're going to have to upgrade these spells this way. Rolling Thunder? Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Solo player on the site.
Strong spell at that, but oh my god.
Not again, Los. They've done it again! They can't keep getting away with it!
The thing is, there's no one to stop them from getting away with it. Tim will always be here, sending out that snake bite. If they want to keep peeking, that's going to be an issue. Ryan earns the kill on the Sheriff, but what's the follow-up? One player detained, but I think it's all too late. They have to make this count. Spike initiation is going to be necessary, but unfortunately, that's going to hurt your chances. 3 bullets in the chamber. Huji can't make it work out. Now it's a 1-on-2. Ryan is not done. Ryan has come here to fight. And there's 10 seconds left. They have time to secure the plant. There's safety. Good thing this site is large and in charge. A flashpoint from Ethan. Spotted. They're playing water. I don't know if Ryan is aware of it. They look at the last second, but Ethan makes it happen. What a valiant effort from Ryan. Almost the ace was there to secure a 5th, but it will be 8 for Stony Brook.
Oh my goodness, Ryan almost leaving SBU crying there, but Ethan going huge to close the round. An 8-4 half on the defensive side of Lotus. What a wonderful game this has been. Look at Huji and Tim, 16 and 14 frags respectively, going ridiculous. As Ryan attempting to do the same. It's just how do you answer Huji and Tim playing this well? It's hard. It really is.
But I think now that they're on the attacking side, it's going to be just a bit easier to deal with them. The fear that they were emplacing, the damage that was truly coming out of this squad was their defensive capabilities. Working with that snakebite, the orb, and the nanoswarms all together, all to be such a threat. Now that they can't lay traps for you, I think that's going to take a bit of their threat level down a notch.
Agreed, though, I mean, to be fair, imagine trying to retake into that combo. Ouch. You know, just don't let him get the site if you know what I'm saying.
That's a radiant strat right there. Here comes the attack. Toxic screen to split the site, but a dark cover creates apprehension for Stony Brook. They don't want to make their approach in a double dark cover at that, just to last some good effort. Tim will stick around though. No more utility to speak of, and this will turn into an interesting 1v1. If Duper can secure this kill, that could be huge, but it couldn't be huge as well. There's Tim doing what he does.
Being huger. That's what I say.
Oh,
Yeah, right. That's fair. Right away. I would too. It's a valid strategy. SBU on the site. They should be getting the spike down here momentarily. It feels like Ryan is painting pictures around players without meaning to.
Oh, so close, but just so far. Ryan feels that the crosshair is right on their head, but simply a miss. Dagon and Real applying the pressure. Tim has such little health. We saw an opportunity for that to be an issue earlier. Now they're both in water. It'll continue to be an issue if Dagon and Real, 2 each to their name. They secure the retake. Most of the utility was spent on the attack and just getting to the site in general. So they didn't have too much under their belt when it came to a return to fire from Kennesaw.
Yeah, and honestly, a big giveaway there from SBU, I think. They had a great hold of that site, and they just got a little bit over-aggressive. ASU as well, doing a great job of holding on to the utility that they needed in order to earn that tide. It'll be Stony Brook working with limited weaponry this time out. It is our dynamic duo in Huji and Tim who will pick up sheriffs apiece. Pretty much single-handedly winning a round for SBU in the first half. See if they can do it again here. A big ask.
Here they come with the fault line beyond the mound. It's a quick realization from Duper thinking, oh, time for me to go. A lot of pressure applied, and they will return with a shrouded step. Nothing too crazy. It's all about playing the life. They want to set up a similar situation. You can see the paranoia in hand, waiting for that nano swarm. So it's going to be a tandem activation.
Oh, but look at how much they've been able to bolster the defense of this site, ASU. This is allowed because of how aggressive we're seeing them play today. They have all of this positioning, and, well, speaking of, not going to quite be good enough to find that this is going to be a B hit rather than a C hit.
I think Real. They're hoping for just that opportunity. Beezer setting shots down from door. Fault line. Will they read more? No. Play it safe. Hold on to their life. Best bet is to not give stronger weapons to their opponents, but it's going to be the approach. Time for the execute. Real with the aftershock. Actually, a beautiful placement as it hurts anyone running into the site. Sable will still be able to secure a plant, and somehow it's been an even 3-on-3.
Yeah, but the HP is so low. And Tatter's almost... Ryan's
good for one. Can he get a second? No, Huji. Always applying that pressure with the Sheriff. Kenji now just 11 HP. It had to have ended this way. If that was a Stony Brook victory with Sheriffs off the back of Huji, that should have just been illegal. Won't be the case. Nice dance for Dagon.
Yeah, but it did get relatively close to spike down. Gotta feel good if you are SBU. This is looking solid. Gotta respect it. Kennesaw State, they should be forced into some additional purchases in what would normally be a bonus round. Instead, they got a tough decision. Full invest or go with some pistols to work with these couple of saved rifles or weapons against the full buy. A tough task for sure, and it looks to me like they've gone for the more conservative approach. They've gone for the save here, essentially. Just bought a pistol or two.
Strong placement. 2 right outside of A main. Ethan, beautiful follow-up on the flashpoint. May be able to spot Dagon hiding in the smoke. No, what is this, Call of Duty? Are we still in the first block? What is Ethan doing jumping around like that?
I think he is playing Call of Duty. This is clearly that game. I don't understand. It's not meant to work that way, but Beezer with a brilliant shot. A blinder with this Sheriff making it look plausible once again for KSU.
Ryan cosplaying the cowboy as well, but Beezer and Ryan, they hold it down a 3K. Look at Kennesaw. Only one round away from an equalizer, and such a fashionable way to do it with Sheriffs, giving Stony Brook a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, for real. Kennesaw, they took a big risk there. They elected to play with the weapons that they had, to invest just Sheriffs further against the full rifle buy that Stony Brook had on offer. Kennesaw State come away victorious 3 rounds in a row to start the second half, and they are, as mentioned, on the cusp of equalization. But not a single round goes by that Stony Brook are not threatening. They do not have something to apply the pressure with. Once again, they do it here, apply their trade at the B site.
Cover going out.
Not much pressure. Information is the name of the game here for Stony Brook, and that's all they can hope to work for. They don't have aggressive players. They've only got the Breach and the Rays. That's it. Mostly focused on defense. Great for once you get the spike planted, but getting there is such a big task for them. Here comes the fight. It's going to be off of Ryan.
Oh.
There's a flash. That would be a beautiful start. Ryan, good for one. But simply the body advantage works in their favor. Ethan hurt. Where's this nade coming from? Ethan's going to walk right into the Nebula after popping the Rolling Thunder. Beautiful play, and Kenji fouls it up. Look
I
at
told you.
the work. Sending everything they got.
Not a round that isn't a deadly chance for victory for Stony Brook is Kennesaw State. What chance do they have? 2 players versus 4, and walking into a full Viper's Pit.
Man, oh man, a thrifty Vincent. How could this be?
Listen, I'm a thrifty kind of fella. I like a good deal, and that was a damn good deal from Stony Brook. That was impressive. They played those trades so beautifully, especially considering the fact that they were set up. Kennesaw were set up to deal with that push. With Stony Brook, we're like, we're just going to have 3 players swing you at the same time. Sorry. Can't do anything about it.
That's what you have when you don't have the weapons. You've got bodies. Put them on the line, and you'll find success, just like the Seawolves. Apprehensive is this squad now that we have the dark cover. I mean, that hasn't stopped them before. 2 players on the mound this time. Just itching at the opportunity for someone to peek around, but in the worst moments, Duper's not there to provide the extra protection. It's a steamroll right into Seaside. Utilization of the showstopper, but nobody's here to watch it.
Show's over, bud. Go to the next round. KSU. No chance back into this thing. I mean, they have an ult command, but it feels at this point maybe a little too late to use it. I mean, Spike's been taken a little bit now. And yeah, I think we're looking for exits. I think that's the plan. Clearly here, Beezer for sure trying to catch anybody off guard who's moving forward, but this will be double digits, Los. SBU. What a way to respond. Kennesaw State's solid recovery after the end of that first half. I mean, they brought it back nearing an even mark, and now we're turning things back the other direction.
Wild to see that Stony Brook have been able to take advantage. It comes down to playing 2 players on mount, not having a backup plan, no close rotations. That was a big investment, having those players holding up in that position. And when you lose out on that, when that gamble does not pay off, it was a quick decision in the mind of KSU to say, oh, okay, guess we just lost this round. Hold on to your guns, boys.
Yeah, honestly, I would have liked to see KSU make a quicker decision to try and get out of there. They waited a little too long to make that play, and, well, they were a little too committed at that point, but still. The look has been good. And Stony Brook's map pick, Kennesaw State struggling to find answers.
Another 2 placed by C-Main. Beezer reveals themselves. I'm not sure how long they'll stick around, and Dagan is playing beyond the boxes. Will this be checked? Oh, it most certainly will. At least I hope. No!
What?
Dagan's just gonna pull 3 out of nowhere because no one decided to take that look. And off of that decision, Real waiting, hoping, praying. Come on, Huji, open that door. Look for a quick escape, because I got your number.
Just waiting for him to knock. He was ready to open the door. Not so welcoming arms, unfortunately, though. Ethan, last man alive, is looking to make some miracles happen. And oh, maybe, just maybe, but with 3 HP, it's going to be tough.
I'm liking this. But a smart look from Ethan. Unfortunately, Real read that as well. Good comms, good understanding of the situation. And a post-plant setup would have just been too prolonged and too dangerous. Might as well take the early fight and isolate to a 1v1. Unfortunately for them being Stony Brook University, they'll take another loss. Kennesaw, they're not out of this game. Not by a long shot.
No, this is incredibly close. 2 rounds between them. And this, well, I'd say a must-win from Kennesaw, though. Their money is a little bit on the cusp of being broke. No more mound shenanigans, at least not early on. Just a little bit of a peek into the C-mound position. Making sure that nobody's getting aggressive, but the aggression, meanwhile, happening here at A. The spike, not quite leading the way, but close to it. Ethan is actually doing the leading. 4 out of 5 members for Kennesaw, or excuse me, for SBU. Moving in this direction, and they're going to scale up quickly. This should be an A site that really doesn't have much on the defense. Ryan's the only one here, and it's just been smoked out. Just damage taken, trying to walk through some of those nano swarms as Tim gets the plant down.
Bodies on bodies on bodies. That's how they're playing, and that's how they take A. And it's a delayed approach, but Kennesaw has so much utility to work with.
They got a lockdown, though. Dude, SBU, they could counter this.
Oh my god. Dang it. Flying high, jumping right over. No one's inside tree. This should be an easy defusal. Where is everyone? As long as you have the protection, as long as you don't have Tim and Huji doing their job, putting in the pain, then it should have been an easy win, but it's never going to be an easy win when you're looking at these 2 players.
Fuji on the flank, man. This guy lurking in the shadows. Terrifying Kennesaw State fans everywhere. SBU coming away victorious. As mentioned, a round that should have been Kennesaw's time over time. They had they had everything. They showstoppered in. They had the Rolling Thunder. They had the null command. Like, what more could you have asked for, Los?
A win.
Fair. They didn't get that. Well, you might not have many more of those.
Dagan, good shot on the Guardian. Unfortunately, they aren't able to provide much else. However, we've seen Beezer back on the share. What is this from Ethan?
Ambitious, to say the least, Tim. Some spam through the smoke will be rewarded. And Tim, he's just so good.
Now looking at the last round. Real. No chance for survival on that. It felt like it was the beginning of the end. With so much at your disposal and the inability to close it out. It was just a shock and awe moment for Stony Brook. They steamrolled Kennesaw State. And they continue to do it in this next round. But now it's the final opportunity. It's going to be the next final 4 opportunities if Kennesaw can actually pull off this round.
Yeah, Kennesaw's back against the wall in this endeavor. Their timeout, incredibly successful back on the first half, to be fair. They were able to find a couple of rounds off the back of it. All they need is 4 here, and well, 2 would be halfway there. So, I feel like maybe this is a real chance for them to bring things back, but for me, the problem hasn't necessarily been Kennesaw. They've done most everything right. I think the only big whiff that I saw is the fact that they weren't able to capitalize all those big ultimates on the retake. That was really a must-win round, and they weren't able to make it happen. That's the only thing that they've done that I would say was, wrong, that they messed up big time on.
Other than that, it just feels that there's some great opportunities found by Stony Brook. And their plays in conjunction, they flow so well, and they take Kennesaw by surprise.
We appreciate Sable at 999.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the, it's very, very pleasant to look at. That's all I'm saying.
So is this scoreboard, just in general. Stony Brook team about to make a nice 13-8 scoreboard. That's a pleasant one if they can make it through, but unbearable entry is that Nano Swarm, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough to deter this squad. They've activated the Viper's Pit, the lockdown, and everything they need to shut down this game.
ASU, though, they can pull a lockdown of their own here in just a moment. That should make it so that everybody has to evacuate this Viper's Pit, actually. Of course, getting it into position, that's the problem.
Ethan's getting aggressive, hoping to slow down the approach. Flash opens it up.
No!
But a snipe from Huji, and they'll fade away into the pit. Real starts things off, but that's not the player you need to kill. It's Tim, and they're hiding within the mist in the most small corner, the hidden spaces. You must enter the pit, but from the pit, you will not return. This is the end of Lotus and the beginning of a great series.
Indeed, Kennesaw State sinking into the depths of the pit and losing out on Lotus. But man, 13-8, indeed a close one as Stony Brook taking their own map pick. But that, when you consider how close that was, surely this is a potential game that goes all the way. That's the vibe I'm getting, close.
Yeah, especially if we're talking about that was Stony Brook's pick. We had the Kennesaw strength. I'm assuming that we're gonna have a similar performance back on Icebox. This should be, in my mind, based off what we saw on Lotus, this should go all the way to Ascent. And I want it to go all the way to Ascent because these two teams are great. They're phenomenal collegiate squads, and I want to see them go to the distance, especially if we're talking about some specific players that I want to keep seeing. We got to be talking about Tim and Huji. Oh my god, the chef skills on these players are phenomenal.
Yeah, also, big shout out. I felt like Real had a lot of high impact frags there, but Deegan as well. Talk about impact fragging. That 3K over towards C Mound. Oh my goodness, that was brilliant. Really kept Kennesaw alive there for a little bit. We see more of that on Icebox. I gotta agree. Gonna see Ascent coming up as well. But Icebox first, that's up next. We'll see you in just a moment.
Map 2 time. It's Icebox here for potentially the final map of the series, though I highly doubt it because Kennesaw State University was putting up a hell of an effort on their opponent's map pick of Lotus. We'll see if Stony Brook can keep up that fire and burn down and cool off, heat up, whatever you want to say about their opponents, because they put on a great performance. Both teams, some star-studded rosters when it comes to the collegiate scene. Vincent, what are you thinking going into map number 2?
I'm thinking traditionally Kennesaw State, they play a bit of Icebox, but I think there is a key to that, and that is that last time I saw Kennesaw State play, it wasn't really this. It was only a couple of these players. It was, I think it's 2 out of the 5 that are remaining when I last saw them, and that does concern me a little bit. And that concern is worsened only by the fact that Icebox is also a Stony Brook map a little bit. They played it a couple of times. They played it in the quarterfinals of another collegiate league, and they won it against a pretty high-ranked opponent. That's the Carleton Ravens, who are like a top 20 team. So I think that's worrying for KSU, but it's been a minute since all that calmed down. And so you never know if it's going to be something that they've continued to practice, or maybe they've let it slip just a little bit with the introduction of both Split and Lotus.
Well, hopefully, considering it is their pick, that it would be something that feels a bit comfortable for them. But we will see what Kennesaw can bring to this table. I'm hoping, not because I'm biased, because I just love Valorant, Vincent, that they may be able to bring us to a map number 3. I'm forsaking my New York heritage right now, and allowing this to be a possibility that New York loses.
It's only because of your graciousness that there's a possibility that Stony Brook loses. I understand. You know, it's really wonderful of you to be so gracious, so beautiful.
Not many people know how generous and humble I am. That's the thing.
And humble part, definitely. That's what they say about you. Oh, humble host los.
Yeah, and very, very underspoken in terms of my look as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Kennesaw State, well, I think they were a little underspoken in the look that they gave us in map number 1. I think they'll be a little bit more voracious. Is that the right word? I'm going to go with it.
Vicious.
Vicious, sure thing. In the second map, attack side is where they start, as this was their pick. It'll be Kenji taking the first of the looks at the B site. Almost said C there, because we kept going C back on Lotus.
Yeah, B was not an option for many of those rounds. It seemed just to be a playground a little bit to everyone lose, for everyone to go in and die, no matter what the side is. This time, B provides a bit more options. Toxic Screen blocking off a majority of Stony Brook. They're all there. They're waiting, and I believe Kennesaw State knows that.
Last time I watched Icebox, I think a team went B 14 rounds in a row. Yeah, so...
was that fun to watch?
Yeah, I love watching B retakes. They're great. Smile.
Well, that's
Ryan.
you. I'm glad you got used to that, because we're about to go into another one. All that late delayed information gathering from A, they've come to realize, you know what, B is actually where we want to be.
Oh, there's so many people here, though. It is all. I mean, they're not going to be able to deny the plan, but still, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe Kennesaw just shoot them all back.
Seems to be the case, and it feels like everyone is just going to die from long-range engagements. Kenji doing what they can, G, and my God, it's a 3K. It's up to one more player. It's up to Ryan to stop this from taking place, but Ethan and Kenji.
Close.
Oh.
They can't keep getting away with it. Not like this.
Because you're looking at the kills from Kennesaw and you're thinking, oh wow, they're playing such a well done swap in and out tag team, going for those swings, and then Kenji just walks up and one taps 3 of them in a row. It's like, what's happening here?
You know at the end of every episode of Scooby-Doo, they're supposed to like take off the mask of the monster and it's just the dude under there. No. You take off the mask and Kenji, He's not just the dude, he's the monster. It's ridiculous.
You take off Kenji's mask and you just find a one tap right in your face for
It's
the
a wild
entire gang.
All at the same time. Kenji, a pleasure to watch, I will say. All jokes aside, though. Kennesaw State, they really got to win that. Like, you can't give Kenji those 1v1s. It's just not something. I mean, okay, I'll caveat that by saying they really didn't give him the 1v1s. Kenji just won anyway, but still.
If you give him the 1v3, you gotta give him the 1v4.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Well,
Ethan was there too.
We'll take their second here, more than likely, unless Real. Okay, good start for Real. If they can follow it up with a second, it won't be the case, but it's good enough to take the Guardian out of their hands because that's a costly item. No, it will be recovered, but it isn't a flawless round, and you could be somewhat dissatisfied with that.
Yeah, it isn't as clean as you would have maybe liked, but clean enough. Donnybrook walking into the third round with pretty significant advantage in that one. Looks like they've, well, actually, no, they haven't brought up. I thought they had purchased a little bit more, but they have some Spectres alongside the Guardian and I think 2 Vandals. Full weaponry at hand for Kennesaw. As we will see what they have back at the B site, surprisingly.
Have they gone here yet?
I don't think that anyone's ever been here before.
This seems
Sort
to
of
be
like
this is like a new site. Is this get put
Yeah.
in the last patch? Tim. Oh
What?
my god.
He didn't stop running!
And he's just gonna do it again. It feels like there's a glitch in the Matrix that he'll just make the same route. And I imagine if there was another person there, they'd be gone too.
He didn't stop running, Los. Someone stop this man. Oh, Huji. That's a rough one, buddy.
Oh god. There's no chance Duper finishes the job. However, the job's not done. Ethan is still here, finally. We'll put in some more damage. The spike will be activated. There's help now. It's Tim. The very demon we spoke of earlier knows someone's up top. Good kill with the Guardian, but you're in a bit of trouble. Dropping right into the sights of Beezer. In case you take their first, it has to be this one on the rifle round.
Yeah, that was a little ambitious, I will say. That wasn't ideal, but as mentioned, just the bonus for Stony Brook. And they have the full rebuy at hand. But Duper, great round out of them specifically, really doing a good job of, first of all, securing the site, but then making sure that nothing too crazy could happen. Really took advantage of the nano swarm that pushed Fuji out of position. Was able to find that frag to open things up, and then, of course, closing the round as well. Stony Brook and Empress is on the cards. Maybe we'll see something more from those dismisses next time. Feels like it's been a minute since we've seen Arena, hasn't it? Good to see a little bit of Arena back in action.
Just a ranked player at this point. I haven't seen Reyna in officials. Yeah, you're definitely right, but just the flow that comes with Reyna, with a dismiss like that. Here comes the Empress. Confidence built and confidence dashed. Beezer said, let's settle down with that one. And a res on top of it, just to add insult to injury to resurrection.
Great work there. Kennesaw not sort of losing out because of that. These are multiple injuries here. 2 frags, and Sable will at least keep things maybe possible for a retake, but they're still working from a disadvantage, Los. There's a lot to be had.
NG will break through the first one to make the approach. No play for the orb. However, I don't know if anyone is aware of Real. They are now, and Kenji's not done yet. Taking point. An interesting maneuver for the Smokes player, but they're so confident in their skills that they have to make it happen. Unfortunately, Duper is there for 2 in a row, and Ryan from the belt will finish things off. And KSU are back. They come with an equalizer, and they do it in some great fashion.
Now, this is wonderful from Kennesaw. They've done they've done the due diligence here. They are making the right moves. Great usage of the res, making sure to take that tool in a space where they can actually find the res and not have it be denied. Just so much to like there from Kennesaw State. And, you know, in fairness to Stony Brook, not as if they played it too poorly, but their money's reset. And they're going to be working from behind in this round, most certainly. There they are.
Beautiful opener from Dagon. No one else is there to stop them. That should be their sight. However, we know the squad isn't going to take things so easily. With some speed, perhaps get the plant down. That's going to be about it.
And the barrier orb put up there. A standard plant.
Okay. Flank activated, flank red. And real. We'll drop 2 of them. The final last 2 members of SBU. It's Tim back on the Guardian. Unfortunately, a nice trade of the turret will allow Dagon to get another. Perhaps a third. Perhaps not.
Sable, love to collect one more. Just anything here would be nice. Giving an opportunity, to be fair, but Ryan will shut that down before it can get too out of hand in a lead for Kennesaw State for the first time since round 2. Back on Lotus.
What a time for them.
Crazy.
And that is a horrendous stat to realize.
Yeah, I've been keeping that one in the back pocket. Didn't really want to pull it out, but it felt like a good time.
It's their time, though, to extend that lead, Vincent. 3 ultimates at the ready, but you've got the best 2 defensive ones possible for Stony Brook.
Ooh, the early wall out there towards... Okay, the wall just busted down instantly. And the push from mid as well. Finding 2 opening picks for SBU.
Not much you could do off of that one. Real facing some real hardships at this moment.
Yeah.
They're the only one, 1v3, and you know exactly where you're going to die. And it's going to be that Viper's Pit if you make an attempt on it. I believe this could be a save, though.
Well, the problem is there's a minute, and there's just no exiting here, for real. Like, you see how locked down the flank is? No one's getting out. And now the recon bolt, too. It's not going to find anything, but... man.
Oh, here it is. Kenji's looking above. But what is this timing?
Oh,
Works
my
out
goodness.
perfectly, but Kenji has the idea. There's no other way to get inside that pit. And they've spotted it out. Here's the equalizer. Stony Brook realizing they're a bit of a mishap, allowing a lead to exist, and they're here to correct the record.
Yeah, I mean, can't let anything like that happen now, can we? Not for a New York team, Los.
You know, I don't know why that would even cross our minds.
Yeah, our minds. You are the collective mind of all New York teams. That's what I'm understanding here.
I meant yours and mine, but that works as well.
I think I was dreaming bigger.
Ah, okay. What's bigger than Vinlos? Well, that's a big kill from Kenji, and they could walk away with that one. Hunter's Fury is available, but certainly won't be expended in this moment.
No, and I mean SBU really doubling down and finding an opening pick once again, second time in a row. I mean they had 2 opening picks last round, but you know one works too for us normal people that don't want to overachieve
Ryan
that much.
Find a flank. Unfortunately, Huji.
Right. They're really overachievers.
With a barrel to the mouth. That's not really what you want.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. You'll lose some teeth that way.
Hagen here for the angle. Unfortunately, simply cannot find success in that moment. It's not
He was here for
looking
death.
good this round. It's Duper.
I don't know how he's gotten here. I think he walked through mid.
I think so, and Huji's waiting for it. Oh yeah, there's not much that Duper could do in that moment after taking so much damage. It's a flawless here. And it didn't feel like there were any moments in this round where KSU even had an opportunity to fire back, save for the final few seconds.
I mean, you know, the first 10. kind of felt okay. But yeah, after that, it really did go downhill pretty quick.
The buy part probably is what you're referring to, I believe.
Yeah, the freeze time. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bit brutal here as a Kennesaw State fan. I'll keep it a buck. But it's only 4-3. And I think that we got to keep that closeness in mind as the timeout comes through. Kennesaw taking time to listen to their coach, Legend, getting to have some input, talk about what's been going wrong, and let's do the same, Los, because for me, Kennesaw State just need to play a little bit more default, I think. They're making some plans, and that's great, but often SBU in the first 30 seconds of every round are getting aggressive somewhere, and Kennesaw just need to figure out where that is and then try and deal with it.
I mean, you know, let's take a look at the Huji and I believe Kenji push. Double pushed up, dropped the barrier into garage just to make sure they couldn't be flanked. If you could catch them out, 2 players looking toward B main, that's a free sight and ultimately a free round if you could take 2 off the board instantaneously.
Yeah, exactly. Opportunities are there for Kennesaw. The Blades maybe going to afford them a little bit more in that same area.
There's that wall again, and Huji's on the other side of it, just waiting. And the timing, when the wall is just about to break, Ethan and Huji slap down Kennesaw. And that's another round that we can expect here to go the way of Stony Brook, unless Duper is able to pull off some magic. I mean, hey.
Oh, nice shot.
Not a flawless.
Yeah. I mean, also, I think I was jumping. But, you know what? Remember when I was like, yeah, these blades, they might be able to do something with that. It was just a joke. Kennesaw need to sharpen those blades pretty significantly as they've been dulled over time. They must have dropped into the drink and started rusting. That must have been the problem, Los. Next time though, it'll be better, I promise.
I mean, you know, that's just a classic Vincent goof. Like it
does happen to me.
It was just a prank.
Just a prank. Maybe the prank will end here. Kennesaw with weapons once again at hand, the full variety of them, and they have a pit. If they could get onto the A site, Los, hanging on to it seems viable. Actually, is they have a lockdown of their own to counter out the lockdown that SBU have.
First line of defense, or maybe the second, is Tim with an op. The second that they peek, Dagan realizes, uh-oh, we're in some trouble. But where's the activation? There's a toxic screen. Where's the effort from KSU? How do they deal with this? They haven't used one of their own. They do have a Viper's Pit at the ready. They'll play it safe for now.
Lacking a lot of information in our SBU right now. They don't know what's going on, and you can see they're getting a little bit anxious because of it.
There's the shot in the leg. Tim has been spotted, and so has Viper. What is the follow-up? Kenji's down. Bees are moving up. Dagan, even blinded, is able to secure that kill. Viper's Pit, even inside of the lockdown, they have no fear because the Hunter's Fury provided safety. Sable won't be so easy to avoid.
Gotta keep Duper alive inside of this pit. It's critical.
Duper's not done. Duper's found a second along with Real. And Ethan is the last one alive. Jumping all over the place, making a ton of noise. But this spike is not planted for them. Time is running thin. They have to make a move, but they will! Ethan with the tap and the headshot secures 3 and clutches what should have been an unwinnable round.
Nothing's unwinnable when you have Ethan in the clutch. Absolutely beautiful headshot as that just pulls the entire game back into SBU's grasps and clutches. The round that was meant to push Kennesaw right back into this game turns into SBU's victory.
How can that happen? Now back to Sheriffs. A single Vandal. Kennesaw. They invested so much into that round. Into the past 2. Their money, their ultimates. They're back on bare bones. Save for Dagan. But even so, they've found success in the face of adversity. Sable's gone. But the second that this poison orb dissipates, there might be an issue, especially with this Empress. But Tim might cost their life for being so cautious. That could have been a lineup.
I was feeling the collateral.
Beezer doesn't allow it.
No collaterals for Timothy. Genji. He'll take a frag. Oh, but one more to be had. It's Ryan that dispatches Huji. A man advantage for Kennesaw. They've turned it around. Back to the A site. This time, maybe they can hang on to it.
Flashbacks to a good setup. Poor execution in the post plant. This is Ethan. Back again, Sable to find a second. And Ethan, another 3K to close it out. How can this happen 2 times in a row?
Just don't let Ethan go for a clutch. Just don't allow it. If you're Kennesaw, you can't let it happen. He's gone for the op. He's like, yeah, we got so much time. 2v4. Close. They can't keep getting away with it. They just can't.
How many times will we say it? How many times will we say it, Vincent?
I have
they
to
always
keep
will.
doing it. Because it's just so ridiculous. The amount of clutches we've seen, and they've all been Stony Brook. Kennesaw State struggling to close these rounds. It's been a struggle. I mean, it really just has been. That's the only word for it. Ethan, 13-4.
That man doesn't die.
Nope. Death shall not be bringing him down. Not in this half, at least.
When it's
7-3.
Death's turn to go, they're captured by Ethan.
Indeed. It's a lot of pressure that Fuji's been applying with the Sage utility over there at B. They keep expecting him to push, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps winning, Los. He keeps winning.
Uji. Who's next? Jiggling that corner, they want to give that initial fight because they must know at this point that KSU has been trained to double stack that up. But all this while, that's a pretty deep push in by Duper. They won't do anything with it, though.
Just gathering information at this juncture. Oh, but Ethan, this regress, this timing is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? How has he heard this timing and got it so perfect? Duper falls in a deadly engagement. Tim following up. It's real to get dispatched.
Tim is so close with the op as well. I think if this peak is actualized, Tim will come out with a third. Oh my God! What is this aggressive op play? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad Tim was punished for that. That should be the end of the round, but 3K with the op playing so close. This is something they can't keep getting away with, Vincent.
I'm personally renaming Tim the Timothy the Terrorizer. Because that's what he does to his opponents. Absolutely ludicrous. Unstoppable with the operator, it seems. And, you know, he got punished, but don't worry. They recovered the op. He'll go back for more. 8-3 the score. But it's just been that one, like, snapshot in round, what, 3 to 6? That's all Kennesaw State have had. And it's been amazing play after amazing play for Stony Brook since that point.
Individual pop-offs from Ethan and Tim. I mean, everybody being part of that wall, that retake. Sable's always able to get their hands on a retake. Whether it's through shock darts, simply getting the entries back onto site. Won't be the case this time. It's a full free site. And we'll be able to get the spike planted without any blood being shed. Lockdown on the outside of screens. Ryan unable to make a connection. Bees are in a lot of trouble as well. But they're forced away. I don't know if they will be detained, but look who's back. Very close with an op.
2 players get detained out of this? They're just going to get the defuse. I don't think they can deny it.
Not even a chance. Not even a hope. A glimmer of that even. 4 alive and the defusal is secured, and Ethan just wants to clean things up as well. 9-3 for the first half. Look at that. 7 in a row for Stony Brook.
16-5 for Ethan. That is unheard of. Just the clutch king right this moment.
New half.
If you're Kennesaw, like, what do you feel in this moment? Like, how do you reset here?
It's a new half. It's a new game. It's a new game, Vincent. You got to forget. Playing with a handicap that you just have to earn 10 rounds and your opponent only has to earn 4. It's a weird version of Swift play. That's what you're dealing with at the moment.
Gotcha. Like playing golf, you know?
Yeah, something like that, except you're going up against Tiger right now.
I was kind of thinking you always have a handicap in golf, but yeah, that works too.
Hagen. They're the first one to try and make the counter approach on site. Huji will enact the plan, and SBU essentially get this one for the freezy.
Yeah, but listen, Real... Oh, nice shot. Already very committed up there. Gonna give them a man advantage to work back into this. Just gotta clear out some of this utility. Real chances for Kennesaw. Remember, they won the pistol last half.
Could be their time as well. Comes to Duper with a beautiful kill onto Ethan. No one there to activate any nano swarms, but will that vulnerability be an issue? I'm not sure if it was halved, but 2 have fallen. Stony Brook is not giving up yet. What is Huji doing so close? They whittled it down to 2 more. Real is going to be the last line of defense, and unfortunately, they couldn't keep it real as Kenji guns them down. Opener for Stony Brook, and 3 more to close out the series.
I don't know what I was saying. They definitely didn't have the pistol in the last half. I'm just crazy. I was thinking the 3 after that. My bad. But Stony Brook, indeed 1 round closer to what feels inevitable at this point, Los. I mean, the Seawolves, they don't show any signs of stopping. I don't think KSU got the memo that the Stinger is a dead gun, because they've got 3 of them. Tim, you're not supposed to run through that. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to just stop.
You don't know who you're talking to. Tim doesn't have time to stop for a nanoswarm. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the time to run on top of that barrier and immediately get iced.
I was about to say, like, listen, the Stinger might be dead, but if you run at it, it's still pretty effective at laying down lead.
This is an interesting one. 3 on 4. I mean, better firepower in Tim's hands, and it'll continue to be that way. The Stinger won't provide any value. And it's in 11th. There was an investment there from Kennesaw State. That's going to be an issue going forward.
I think if that's the old Stinger, Tim dies, actually. Like, I'm fairly certain that's, like, right at the cutoff, you know? What got nerfed. I'm pretty certain that we literally witnessed Stinger nerf in action. And then Real's like, you know what? I want more of that, please. And has bought another one. Oh, man. I'll be honest, this is a rough time as a Kennesaw State fan. Rough time.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, we know. Nobody wants to hear about that, okay, Los? Keep it to yourself.
I'm only having a good time because this is well,
yeah, tell me.
Lotus was good Valorant.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, please defend this Valorant. I'm kidding, of course. KSU playing pretty. I mean, they're really not playing all that bad. I keep saying that, but honestly, it's SBU that have been insane in the clutch, and that's really been the difference between this map and last map. Is KSU were back and forth in the clutch on Lotus. It's just been all Stony Brook this map.
Yeah, there haven't been many moments where KSU was able to truly get a foothold. I mean, they have been able to secure that spike plant previously, but it came down to incredible clutches from players like Ethan. So now they need to have similar standout performances. We know that Ryan has that capability. We've seen them pull off amazing multi-kills or even just openers and play their life. That's what we saw KSU do in the previous. They're unable to pull off the same performance, and we're about to see something similar. Barry immediately destroyed. 3 people in the back of sight, about to have a 4th and duper. SBU won't make the push just yet.
They don't want to walk through this toxic screen. I think they're just going to wait for it to go down. It's a small thing, but a good moment in time to think about how they're just using this effectively.
Oh, they are done for. It's a firing squad. It's the pincer maneuver of the ages. Unless Ryan can be the hero in this moment, and he is!
Barely gets away with it. 5 HP to his name. The first shot's missed, but the third hits. It's Mark, and I mentioned the clutch here for Kennesaw. It's 11-4 the score. A long road back is required. Maybe that can be the first step in the journey. You look at Stony Brook's economy, Los, it's in the bin. Literal trash can right now.
Garbage.
They're gonna have an operator as well. Not something we've really seen KSU get to play with a lot this map, as their own money has been a bit limited.
Him looking a bit lost previously, but now he's back joining the team. Dagan spotted on the owl drone. No jump to the back of the Raptors. A lot of pressure applied. The shock start gave Huji the opportunity to shoot through and find the kill. Operator down. Now it's in the hands of Ethan. They haven't been the star that Tim has been previously, but just to be able to take that gun away from them will be enough. Tim, come on now.
He gets the dismiss as well. It's going to give him additional help to work with his Empress. Well, seems inevitable. 5v2. And it's just real. Who's down and out? Kenji with a closer.
The running gun.
Series point Los for the Seawolves of Stony Brook University.
Not how I was expecting this map to go on Kennesaw's pick. Feels that we would have a lot more confidence from this team, and maybe they were feeling confident at the start, but it was dashed. Their hopes and dreams erased by Stony Brook just off of clutches. Now they have so many rounds to play with. Stony Brook doesn't care about making those risky plays. I mean, to be honest, they've been making them all damn game.
They've been working all game. That's the other side of it. Hunter's Fury, Dagan at least trying to get aggressive, but he's not able to escape.
Snakebite of all things, and a resurrection onto Tim. No hope that. Up looking back toward mid. And that was a look from Ryan, hoping for an opportunity, and Ryan won't get anything of the such. 2 utility kills from this team, and it all comes down to one final hope from Real. Playing it close with the Stinger, but it only sings for one. And that is Stony Brook. They're your series winner, 4-0. The runners-up for the fall semester will keep this undefeated record.
That they will. A Stony Brook team that you and I mean, we were on a journey with them last semester, by the way. Like, we just consistently were watching them take on big name after big name and just upset win after upset win. Now, they have our respect. They've had our respect. And they have the consistent victories here early into this season. 4-0 is absolutely impressive, to say the least. And I gotta say, Los, you know, we memed it up a little bit about how, you know, you're a bit of the bias for New York, but they have made a bit of a fan out of me too. I will admit. Hands up.
Hey, welcome to the SUNY system, my brother. Now, it's just a strong team, but we know that they aren't the biggest fish in this pond. I mean, after we saw what happened to them with Northwood last semester, I mean, that's got to be on their minds 24/7 on what can we do to improve. We beat most of the teams, all the teams that we faced in the regular season, but this is just the training grounds, right? It's looking toward the playoffs, looking toward the end of this season. If they can't improve, if they can't put in a bigger dent when it comes to teams like Northwood, then what exactly is the value of these victories?
Well, I mean, I think the value of these victories is in that training, is a proving ground showing that they are ready for another opportunity. I'm excited to see what's next on that journey for Stony Brook. On the other side of things, Kennesaw State, bit of a rough second game there, to be entirely honest. A lot of that, though, down to, I mean, a whole team playing well. By the end of it, I know we were talking about Ethan, who had some incredible clutches over that first half, but by the end of that game, I think everybody but one player was within 3 or 4 kills of 15. That's how close it got down to. And Los, like, that's the consistency that you need to beat a team as good as Northwood.
Yeah, everyone doing their part. But we'll see and get a little bit of information on everyone who's doing their part after we jump into an interview with one of the players from Stony Brook right after this quick break. So don't go anywhere. The Nate Star League returns after this. Welcome back to the Nate Star League. We have our champion, someone who has had some great moments with the headshots. We're speaking with someone who's actually made their appearance here on the Nate Star League broadcast previous times. It's Tim. Tim, welcome back to the show. Congratulations on the victory. But I want to ask you, you were the runner-up in the fall semester. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're trying to change the pace or change up the strategy, change up the team after coming in second?
Yeah, 100%. I transitioned to the smokes role, which I think fits me a lot better. In a collegiate, that was my first semester, so I was playing mostly chamber, just trying to hyper carry every game. And yeah, we got pretty far, but we came up short at the end against a team that was a little bit more coordinated. So I switched to the smokes role to be more of a. I have a more passive role now. I can kind of tell my teammates what to do, move them around like my little chess pieces, and that seems to be working out a lot better.
I think that does beg a pretty big question. Which chess piece is Ethan, and which chess piece is Huji?
Oh, I mean, they're my king and queens. You know what I mean? They're my big dogs. You know what I mean? They're going in. They're my guys. Sharik, Sable, he's like my pawn. I send him in to die a lot, but everyone else, works out pretty good.
Hey, at least you're honest about it. You're like, listen, Sable, I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to be that guy to die.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of talking about this game in particular, I want to ask, first of all, like, what were the expectations coming in? Have you worked against this Kennesaw State team before? And did you expect, particularly Icebox, to be that dominant?
I mean, I wasn't expecting much. I'm gonna be honest. These guys, I haven't really run into them, but I have a decent space in the community. I kind of know who's who. I know who's good or not. I'm not saying they're bad or anything, but I know that our level of team play is much higher than theirs. Lotus was a little close, but that was our fault, and it was mostly me. I was calling bad a couple rounds. You know, I messed up. I was overheating way too much. So I'll take Lotus to blame for even getting to like 8 rounds. But Icebox, we just played our game, and you know, I decided to play Reyna that game just because I wanted to just, you know, I wanted to enforce my will a little bit on that match, making sure that we go home early tonight.
You certainly did enforce the will pretty much the entire map over there on Icebox. One of the things that I think Los and I noticed was the clutch potential that you guys had, especially in comparison to KSU. What allows you guys to win so many clutch rounds? I mean, I think it was like 5 over the course of these couple of maps, maybe even more than that. I mean, it was huge turning points. What gets that to happen?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, Ethan and Hugely, man, those guys, they know what to do when it comes down to the clutch. And Kenji too. Everyone on the team knows what to do. You know, we go through it in practice sometimes when we're playing our matches. A lot of times after a round that we lose, I'll say, hey, we could have done this or that in that clutch situation, and you would have had a better chance of winning. And they have a really good tendency of taking what I say and what other people say and actually applying it. So we see in these clutches, like I've seen Ethan evolve so much and Hugely evolve so much as players the past couple semesters that they were clutching nothing and now they're clutching everything because of things that we talked about as a team.
That sounds fantastic. The energy coming from you is just amazing. Now, I just want to hear, what are your goals? What are your plans? How do you plan to take down this entire semester, Tim?
You know, I plan to keep on dominating, obviously. That's my goal. You know, I want to keep winning. You know, sometimes you might always win, but, you know, our goal is to win every game. We're going to go with a good mindset. We've been practicing. We're starting to practice a lot more, rearing up towards the end of the season, getting ready for playoffs in our multiple leagues. We came up short, unfortunately, in CVAL Winter, which kind of stinks, but CVAL Spring will be just fine. We know what our mistakes were, and I think it was mostly just our map pool is a little bit too small. So we're going to open up our maps, get a couple more maps we're really comfortable in, and we're going to be in a good spot.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us, and congratulations on your victory. Can't wait to see you throughout the rest of the semester.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you too.
All right, folks. Well, that does it for our Valorant broadcast here at the NACE Star League. And what a fantastic showing from Stony Brook University. They have given us another reason to see them as a top contender in this league. But there still is more NACE action throughout the rest of this week. I know specifically, Vincent, what are you doing again?
You know what it is over Counter-Strike on Friday. Make sure you're tuning in for that. We got Super Smash Brothers coming at you tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. All week long, every single week, we got you covered. Collegiate esports action. Make sure you're tuning in and taking a peek. All fantastic teams. With that said, it is indeed time to go. We'll be seeing you, and I'll be seeing you on Friday. Make sure to tune in then. Peace.